Earphones. Cable. Oh, you got it through the back. Good, young grasshopper. Good. I know you're thinking about food right now, right?
No.
He's like, I'm warming up. Here we go. All right. Did I suck in my stomach enough? Later it's going to go. Which one? Our camera is that one? Yeah. All right. So my name is Dr. Iglesias. This is Deep in Your Business. And today, man, I'm here with Alvaro Salim Noriega de Hoyos.
Oh, you did good, bro.
I got it, bro.
Finally.
I got
Been
it.
practicing.
So we got two special guests, man, but I'm going to have them introduce themselves. What we're going to talk about today, it is so crucial to the body of Christ. It's understanding if what is a Republican and what is a Democrat. It is so vital because we look at the man and or the woman and we're trying to choose just because we like their speech. I've done it before. And I was very ignorant to politics. And unfortunately, I still am. And Alvaro is from a third world country and knows very little too.
I have no idea about any
So
of that.
today we're going to be with two experienced men of God.
You're going to be educated.
And we're going to be educated in politics.
Like
so
it.
stay tuned. Watch it to the end because we're not here trying to convince you to be a Democrat or Republican. It's more for you to understand and for you to choose what party you want. So praise God. So we've had here Pastor Laz with us, and he's very well known of the third time already. Man of God, and I'm excited to see him.
Amen.
And brother, tell me a little bit of background of, that in politics.
Well, first of all, thank you again for having me. I'm excited. I'm excited about our guest that we're going to introduce also as well. That's with us here. I'm good to be back.
Yes.
You guys are doing amazing things. I encourage all the viewers to go through, man. It's the day that you least expect is when something's going to touch you out of this podcast.
Yes.
So go flip through it, man. And, I hear a lot of good things. People call me, people text me. People are just encouraged by a lot of the things that we're talking about. And I like to tell the viewers that, we get into a lot of great conversation, kitchen table conversation, just talking here as brothers. But we do have a faith background.
That's right.
We love the Lord. That's
Yes.
what we have in common, and I'm excited about that.
Amen.
I'm not a political person, even though I've accepted the challenge to come and sit with the brothers today and try to put our heads together on the events that are taking place, the events that have taken place, and what we can foresee in the future, and the little bit that I know. I always like to contribute on the little things.
Right.
Probably the appetizer of the meal today, but
okay. We brought you in because you know more than the average bear.
Well, you know more than I do.
Yes.
So I want to
Yes.
know at least the least that you know, and these are the conversations that people don't have because they're not conversations; they become arguments and fights and all this stuff. So. If we end up fighting, I don't know, man.
We'll put on the gloves.
If we end up fighting, we're going to be just like any other person. But if we don't, then we can show that we can actually talk about things and be civilized and, just be different, man.
We understand there's going to be There's going to be a heated debate. We get that. But at the end, again, we serve the same God. And Pastor Laz mentioned that. Guillermo, introduce yourself, man. And we want to hear a little bit about your background.
All right, Guillermo.
All right.
Yeah.
First of all, I'm glad to be here. I've been watching the show since you guys started, and I think a lot of the topics you guys cover on the church is so important to discuss.
Yes.
These are the things we don't talk about, and we need to, right?
Yes.
So a little bit about myself. So Guillermo Delgado is my name. I am from Jersey City, New Jersey. I lived many years in Newark, New Jersey, where I met my wife. We got married, had our first child there. In the 90s, I got involved in politics.
What got you involved in politics? I mean,
it's a funny story. So
yeah.
In Newark, so whenever election time came around, that was the only time you saw your representatives. The city council people.
That's awesome, dude.
No.
They will show up in the neighborhood. Hey, vote for me.
Exactly.
You know.
Hey, you're a step ahead. You actually saw that.
right.
Oh wow. So the interesting thing was whenever they came to me, to my house, you know.
Wait, they came to your house?
Yeah, they go to door, you know.
Oh.
Yeah, they knock on the door.
Not in my hood. I lived in Wynwood. They ain't come to my door.
Well, that's
Seriously.
how it used to be.
Yeah,
You
oh,
know,
wow.
Back in the day.
Back
Yeah.
in the day,
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So what I would do is every time they came to my house, I would challenge them.
You would ask real questions.
I would literally tell them, "Oh, so you're here because why? It's election time, right? Is that why you're here?"
Oh, wow.
They used to get upset, right? But I always did it to kind of like stir
Yeah.
something up, you know, because, you know, if you want to change something, you got to speak up sometimes. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So I would challenge them, and they get frustrated, and I'm like, chances are I probably will vote for you, but you know, we need to see you in our district.
Yes.
Right. So what happens? One year they needed somebody to run in my district, and this is the story I was given. So my name came up in a meeting at the city hall. It says, "You know that guy who's always a pain in the neck?" He says, let's talk to him.
That's funny.
That's what I was told.
Yeah.
So here comes city council member comes, one of the kind of like, not the mayor, but he's like kind of like the assistant mayor. I forget what they call that position.
Okay.
They show up at my house, and I'm like, "Well, we're not there yet. But why are you here?" Right? It's not quite that time yet. But
Right.
whatever. So they offer
This is not the one time in the year where you're supposed to be here.
Exactly.
What did I do wrong?
Am I in trouble?
Yeah.
You know?
It's like,
I think I missed that door now.
So they come to my house, and I go, "Well, you still haven't fixed my streets yet, but why are you here? We were not there yet, right?" I always messing with them, you know.
yeah.
And then they explained to me, "Look, we need somebody to run against this person in your district.
Okay.
We will pay for everything. So basically, show up. We, you know, canvas with us, go door to door, so your neighbors get to know who you are and things like that."
Okay.
And I said, "Well, if I do this and I talk to the people, I'm not about empty promises.
Right.
Just so
right.
you know, because I was fed up with that. Right.
Right.
Newark was terrible. It was corrupt. You know, the mayor at the time, Sharp James, went to prison finally.
Okay.
We knew he was dirty, and I think it was in the early 2000s.
Okay.
He got convicted and went to prison. But anyway, so that's how that was my start. So I go in, and naive kind of, because, you know, again,
What position were they're offering you? Again,
I was a district leader.
so district leader. Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And what is what a district leader does? Like,
So-
you know, like the people in the neighborhood follow you, and then they follow someone else.
Yes, I'm kind of the inside guy for the city council. So there's a city councilman, right? Council people, and then there's district leaders. That's the way they're structured there.
Okay.
We work closely with them, but we're the face in our district for the city.
And you communicate the issues in that
Correct,
part.
correct.
Okay.
Yeah,
Got it.
I meet with a lot of business leaders and business owners and things like that, and we talk about what's needed.
Okay.
That first year was really challenging because the city's a mess. I think it still is, in my opinion. But yeah. So anyway, so that's how I got involved. So I went in.
How old were you? 18, 19?
No, I was in my mid 20s.
Okay. Okay. I'm trying to do the math. So you're 64? No, I'm just
I
kidding.
got married. I was 23 when I got married,
Okay.
and then my son was born 2 years later, and he was probably 6 months old.
Okay.
Oh wow.
When I got involved.
Yeah.
And
And how old are you now?
50
something.
57? Really, bro? I thought he was a lot younger. I'm like, why?
I thought it was in the closet. We weren't going to ask that question.
I'm like, why doesn't he dye his beard like mine?
I used to, but I was like, nah.
I'm done. I'm a district
I'm
leader
with you,
now.
bro. I'm with you. Look. I'm only 46, but I'm just as gray as you are. You know.
You get to the point where it's like whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess as a district leader, you don't dye your beard anymore.
It was interesting. Yeah. So we did a lot of work. We did a lot of work in the polls.
Okay. So district leader for what party?
I was a Democrat.
Okay. So you were a Democrat.
I was a Democrat.
Got it. Okay.
And when I left a Republican. Well, not exactly. I went, and it seems like it's the same transition for everybody. I went independent right afterwards.
Okay.
Because I was like, something's not right here. And we worked a lot of elections, right? A lot of campaigns. And
when you say something wasn't right, again, we know nothing about politics. What
do you mean by
was
that?
it? Policies? What was it?
it was more the lies. So let me explain.
Yes.
The call banks was a thing back then. I think it's kind of still is when you make calls, but that was pre-internet. There was no internet back then. Right?
Got it.
No email. So
That was cold calling.
yeah, exactly.
I'm representing this person. Blah blah blah. Would you vote for us? And blah blah blah. And then you make a count of
What
that.
we call
right?
telemarketers today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay.
So one day, for the first one, I got a call from
Yeah.
my inside guy in City Hall. He said, "Listen, we're setting up the call center for the calling, right? And they basically give you a script. They'll tell you, we're calling on behalf of so and so, and he's, behind this candidate or that candidate, whatever."
Right.
So, when the first call came, they said, "Well, this is the script. You're going to call on behalf of this person, who they didn't know that I knew personally."
Okay,
And
I
it
see where you're
wasn't
coming
true,
with this.
and I knew it was a lie.
What was a lie?
The script.
That the script that person, I won't name the person.
Yeah.
I don't want to get into that, but
Right.
that person was behind the candidacy of whoever the person was at the time. One of them was Bob Menendez, who we just know that went to got convicted.
Okay.
And others.
But the script was he's
Yeah, we're calling on behalf of so and so. Calling, he's really wants you to go out there and vote for this person, whatever.
And that person was somebody from the neighborhood or the
Personal
city.
friend of the family.
So mentioning him was a vote of confidence for people to.
because he was very well known.
I got you.
In the
but he
city.
was corrupt and
no. So what happened was it was a lie.
They were using.
What was a lie?
They were using
That-
his
that-
name.
that he was behind these candidates, supporting these candidates.
Oh,
I happen to know that it was not true.
got it. Understand now.
So when they said that, I was like, I'm not doing that.
Okay. Okay.
I was still a church boy. You know what I mean? One of those.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you asking me to lie? I said, I'm not doing that. So I didn't.
Okay.
So I kind of started becoming kind of the black sheep of the team, right? Because I was like, "What, you crazy? I'm not gonna lie to these people."
But isn't there corruption both sides, in Republican and Democrat? Okay.
Sure. I mean, you're gonna find corruption in both sides.
Got it.
But for me, it's policy, right?
Okay.
Everybody talks about Trump this and he did this and Biden did this. My concern and everybody's concern
Yes.
should be policy.
Yes.
Because that's what affects us.
That's what I want
correct,
to talk about. Yes.
Another thing is people need to get a little bit more pay attention. So what do we hear lately a lot about Trump? He's an existential threat to our democracy. I'm like, so I have these conversations with people. I'm like, what democracy are you talking about? We're a republic. We're a constitutional republic. We're not a true democracy. So they twist these things and people start believing it because a lot of people just are lazy.
Right.
And they don't check for themselves.
Yeah.
I'm like, we've never been a democracy.
Right.
Ever. So I've had these conversations, people get upset,
Yeah.
I never get upset because whenever I have debates or I'm having a discussion, I leave my personal opinion
Yes.
out of it. So there's no emotional. I stick to the facts. you know?
Let me ask you a question in regards to that, because I'm very interested in what you just said there. What's the difference between democracy and the republic that you're talking about? So I can understand, what you're talking about, and so I can understand the difference between the rhetoric that is, said in the media or whatever, and then what the reality should be.
Sure. So a true democracy is majority rule, right? The popular vote would be the one that we would go by if we were a democracy.
Okay.
So the problem with that in this country is the biggest populations are in California and New York. So if we actually were a true democracy, then everybody else in the country, their vote doesn't matter, because majority rule. The founders knew that, which is why they said no, we're not going to do that, because they didn't want the majority to rule over the minority. That's why we have a republic. The republic is different. We have representatives. We have, I think, it's like 2 senators per state, and then Congress is based on population.
Okay.
The amount of people you have as representatives
On each state?
Yes.
Okay.
So that's why we have the Electoral College, right? Every state has a certain amount based on population of delegates.
Okay.
That's why the Electoral College is so important, right? So what happens? Whenever you hear people wanting to do away with that, that should concern everybody. Because why? Because we're not a democracy. We never have been.
Okay.
And I challenge anybody to show me in our founding documents where the word even shows up. Because it doesn't.
There's something in the elections, and again, I'm not native of this country. I came here when I was 21. I'm originally from Colombia, but I haven't been able to understand, or I've never had anybody to explain to me. In the elections, there is like what you were saying. Oh, this many people voted for in this state and whatever. But then there's something else, like internally, that if they decide that doesn't go, then it changes the whole thing. I have never been able to understand that. Now, is that what you were referring to?
So every state have delegates, electoral delegates.
Okay.
The people vote, right? Then if whoever at the end of the day turns out to be the winner, so the way they count the votes is not the popular vote. So they say, if, let's say, for example, Biden wins California, which we know is going to happen, right? Or whoever it is going to run instead of him. It's a given, right?
Yeah.
There's a certain amount of electoral votes. They'll tell you how many people voted, how many people voted for him, how many voted for the other guy. But what really matters is the electoral numbers, right?
So what is the difference? That's the part that I don't understand.
If let's say when Biden wins or Kamala wins California, then that's X amount of electoral votes, right? So let's say they have, I don't know, just as an example, let's say they have 25 delegates, right? So all the electoral delegates for the state, when they come together and they cut the rolls, they say, we vote for this person because this is what the state wanted. Okay. Very rarely, I don't think I've ever seen, at least not in my lifetime, I don't think in history we've ever seen where they turned around and changed.
Yeah, it happened a couple of times in 2020.
2020?
They tried it, yeah.
But they tried it, but it never happened.
Right. They stood up against it, but they got shut down.
Yeah, because they can't.
Let me ask you something there, just to make sure that I'm understanding. Let's say that in California there's 10 million people, okay? And then the 10 million people vote for the Democrat Party, okay? There's 25 electoral votes, right? Do they have to represent what the people say, or are you guys talking about, this Democratic, everybody vote Democrat, but these 25 people are going to go, no, we want Republican, that's what they can change, right?
They can't.
They have to represent what the people want.
Yes.
Okay,
But let me ask you a question then, and I don't want to get ahead of the game. So how is it that the people didn't choose Kamala, right?
See, that's an interesting.
I don't want to get ahead of the game because I want people to.
I have a question.
Yes,
I have a question with that piggybacks on something.
Yes,
that
please.
That he said. So the difference when answering your question as to the difference between the republic or democracy, is that many wanted that you say the fear. You said something about the fear of losing the republic way of doing things.
No. What they say is that this person is an existential threat to democracy.
Oh, okay.
Right. And then you're saying that would mean that if we were a democracy, we wouldn't have the delegate parties and things like that.
If we were a true democracy, there will be no electoral college.
So it makes
it's majority rule.
So it makes the argument that the way the voting system is now, as a republic, is the way to run a good, decent voting system.
Yeah.
Okay. So why? So then, and I agree with you. It's a good system if it works. Then why is the Republic Party so against the way that republic play the voting system on 2020 if it's such a safe-proof system?
Well, they can complain all they want. They can't change it. Now, they were complaining because there were a lot of irregularities. Now, and the reason why I say this, I don't want to be a conspiracy theorist, but I have worked elections before, and the stuff that we saw in 2020 was never allowed in Newark. I could tell you that, not allowed. So I'm like, so when I was looking at that, I was like, so a lot of people saw the same thing I did. So that's why they were trying to challenge. But there is I believe a way where when the delegates come together, right? If there's a problem, it should have, in my opinion, should have been delayed until they figure it out, right? But it's never happened. I get why they did it, and that's fine. It is what it is. But there's really no recourse, right? You can't change a state's delegates because if the state voted for it, it is what it is. It's done. It's a done deal. You can talk, you can try, take the legal route like everybody does, but at the end of the day, the Constitution is the Constitution. It says this is what it is.
So let's just say that in that system, somebody, quote unquote, weaseled their way and manipulated the system in places here and there. That's going to happen every year, everywhere. That happens everywhere, right? In anything. It's happening in sports. It happens in Hollywood. It happens. There's always politics. There's always differences. And there's always someone trying to get ahead the shortcut way. I get it. Yeah. It's never a good idea. But when that happens, then there's another system, right? Because you got your legislative system, that board, that authority. Your judicial system is another an authority who has been placed by the candidate who was doing most of the complaining and most of the accusations. Right. He placed his people in line where they are the majority to have the final word, as they have in these last days. So now what happens is, my understanding as the way that it happens is, you make this argument and then you bring it to the table and you bring what is called hardcore evidence to the table. So when you present the evidence, now you have to say, okay, we're gonna take you've got people to say that this went bad, and you have proof that somebody weaseled their way here. They created some dead guy to vote and this and that. But if your dead guy voting didn't, if you can't prove that there was at least 50,000 of them,
right.
Then your system is broken.
Okay. In your opinion, what would be an acceptable amount of fraud? Because I think even if one dead person voted, it's terrible, right?
Oh, I get it. Yeah. All of it's bad.
I understand what you mean, though. I do get what you mean. Believe me.
Oh yeah, all of it's bad. But at the same, but the question was not whether or not it's bad. The question was, did I lose the election because of it?
Yeah. And the thing too, I agree with that as well. But when they did see these irregularities, they didn't give time for the evidence to come out. They just forced it, right? Which, again, it is what it is, right? Now, when you say that, like, for example, I think you were alluding probably to the Supreme Court where, they were appointed by Trump or whoever, and they have
yes.
That. So what we have to look at in those cases is, what does the Constitution say? The Supreme Court is governed by the Constitution.
Correct.
And you can't just make up wild ideas, or this is what sounds like it means.
Correct.
Because that's what happens on both sides. Right?
Yes. They try really hard.
They try.
Yeah.
But when you go in my adult life, right? I've seen only one side stick mostly to it. And I say mostly because not always, because you try to get, there's some politicians that sometimes they try to, manipulate, and it happens on both sides,
But can I ask you, what do you mean by that? You've seen one side stick to it.
I've seen,
And how broad is the how broad is the spectacle of your vision on that?
based off what I've seen on the conservative side of the justices. And I'm not saying every single time, but in my adult life, I don't remember a time where they kind of came up with these wild ideas, a theory of what this means in the Constitution when they actually have it written in black and white, and they stick to it, right? For example, there were some things like when they went after Trump for some of the things that he was convicted for, they kind of stretched, when he says, he committed fraud in New York, none of the banks were like, we made money. What are you talking about? Who's the one who lost out in this deal? Who was defrauded here? Nobody. But still, they went after him, and like somebody famously said, we can indict a ham sandwich, because people behind the scenes are manipulating this. Look at, for example, when you look at the media, right? When Trump got shot, I wasn't even watching the news. I was fishing. I got home from fishing. I was fishing all day. I got home. My sister Arlene calls me. She goes, "Man, well, did you see what happened?"
So you're not a Trumpite then, right? Because you wasn't watching. No. I'm just kidding.
I've been to some rallies.
Yeah.
Okay. And,
do you have the hat? Do you have the hat?
I do have a Trump 2020 hat.
Do you have it in your car? Bring it over, bro.
But, my thing with that is and sometimes it scares me to see people how they get so worked. And looking at it from a lens of a Christian, right?
Yes.
Elevating somebody to that kind of position and that kind of fanaticism, I'm very weary of.
Right.
I would never.
What do you mean?
Like how people are like, Trump is, he's like,
okay.
They put him on this pedestal.
Yeah.
Godsend and this and that.
It's like, you gotta be careful.
Yeah.
Be careful.
But how many times have you seen that in politics?
Oh, all the time.
To this extent.
Oh no,
never to this extent.
No, this is crazy.
Have you ever seen it? Have you ever seen it so heavy in America that it divided one of the parties? Like there are two Republican parties now.
Yeah, well,
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Hold on. Yeah.
well, not so much. I think that's changed a lot. In the beginning, yes.
It changed last month.
In the beginning, it was like that. There was what they called the MAGA Republicans versus the regular Republicans. But again, I think a lot of that was manufactured.
Okay.
Because
Was that whole MAGA thing?
I guess it's just like separating.
It's just like.
But what does it mean when they say MAGA?
Make America great again.
It's a
I
movement.
got you. I had no idea. That's why I was
It's the
asking.
name of a movement.
Okay.
That backs up all of Trump's ideas.
Okay.
Not the Republican Party's ideas. Trump's ideas.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
before we get more into Trump, I want to know because we're trying to understand how this works. So the people didn't choose Kamala. How did?
See, that's the interesting thing. When they say that Trump is a threat to democracy, what they just did was a threat to democracy because they voted for him. And they did it because we've been saying for a long time, something's wrong with this old man. And no, but you can't say that. You're a conspiracy theorist. But now, because he did terrible in the debate, now they get it.
Oh, but wait a second.
You see?
Let me ask a really ignorant question, okay? Remember, like I have no clue.
Right.
No problem.
But I want to understand. Biden is the president, right? And if something happens to him as a president, the vice president is Kamala, right? So she has to come through if something happens to him as a president.
Right.
But because he was the president in the campaign and he was chosen by the Democrat Party, she's not the vice president of that?
No.
Oh, I had no idea.
No, right?
I thought she
No.
was chosen because she was the vice president.
No. That's why I'm
Oh,
confused.
dude! Like,
Yeah.
Wow.
I think because of name recognition, they probably used her. I know that there were.
But you say they, isn't it supposed
party,
to be the
the party.
people? What you're
It should have been.
explaining
It
is
should have been, yeah.
the people.
Yeah, should have been.
I'm just
No,
confused.
she's been selected
Okay.
she's been selected as their best alternative to win.
Okay.
You know, here we got what they call the end of what they call the tail end of this election period, and the 11th hour they call it, right? And you have to do the math. You got to throw it in the air, and this is and here's where this goes.
Yeah.
A year ago, 2 years ago, when people were already, he's in decline. Everybody was, who would take his place? Will it be Kamala or will it be Michelle Obama?
Yeah, because that's what I've been
I thought it was
hearing
going to be
for
Michelle.
the last 2 months. That's what I've been hearing.
Right.
But as president and vice president, Kamala would take over. She would take over if something
Right.
happened.
If something
Right.
happens.
That's
to her.
clear.
That's what
That's
I was
crystal
trying to
clear.
The election is different.
Right.
Yeah, that's what we're talking about. The election.
Yeah.
So for this, she was selected because I know they were floating Gavin Newsom, Michelle Obama, and some other. There was another governor that they were talking about.
That Gavin guy is the governor from California.
California, yeah.
Oh wow, yeah, that's pretty radical though.
Yeah.
He's pretty radical.
Yeah.
But I mean, what part of it?
But
What part of it not being like? Let's just say that they didn't put her in right now. You know, you have the Democratic convention coming up in August.
Well, that's
your final day.
Right. That's official. They make it official there.
Right. So
whoever it's going to be.
So if she would have showed up at the Democratic convention next few weeks, right, 30 days away probably, and said, "Okay, I'm running for president," would that be okay?
Yeah.
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 Yeah,
Well,
but that's
But then the same delegates who would have to vote her in
Right.
that day to respectfully
Make it official.
make it official her as a nominee
Right.
are the same delegates that have already made it official that we want her to run for nominee. She still is not the nominee. The DNC still has to come. You can still get up and say, I want to be the Democratic nominee right now. You can still do it.
Okay.
So
So there's
the
time.
delegates are already
people can come in if they want to.
Oh yeah, but the delegates that would have to close the deal for her on that day are already saying, "Hey, listen. By the way, I'm gonna
back
vote for
you
her.
up.
I back you up. I endorse you."
crystal
you know,
clear. I got it.
Decision
I
was
got
made.
it.
Decisions made.
I got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
But the other thing is that's actually in the courts right now is campaign finance laws. You know, I don't think that it's legal for them to roll over whatever funds were collected under for Biden to be rolled over to her.
It's
Oh
not.
wow,
That's in the courts right
It's
now.
not. And that's not how it works.
Right.
Yeah.
That's not how it works. And that's not how it's worked this time.
Didn't they collect?
When
No, they're talking about because she never fundraised, right?
so what? No, she did fundraise. So what's happening?
not for
so
president,
she made 53 million the other
Oh,
day
yeah, right, after the
by
fact.
small donations alone.
Yeah.
And the other ones were donations by people who endorsed. So what happens is when Biden, this is why there was so much push and so much talk. Otherwise, the Democrats would have said, "You're done. You're out of here." Biden has to come forward. Write an official letter. You know how they're like, why do you write a letter? Why is he hiding? You have to write it. It has to be official. It has to be word. It has to be word.
has to be written.
So it has to be written.
Yeah.
So you write it, you make it official, you sign it, and what that does is it gives you the ability to release all your delegates. And with that, it releases all their fundings. Now that funding can go wherever it wants.
Now let me ask you a question
yet.
there.
I'm not 100%
That's exactly
sure.
how it works.
Let me ask you a question there. The funds right now that were collected for Biden are in the hands of those delegates, or is in the hands of his?
It's wherever the funds. So let me put it to you like this. Let's just say that
like where's the money right
yeah,
now?
let's just say that I'm looking for sponsors, and then you sponsor me, and then I'm out.
And you get out of the race.
And
So
I get
I'm
out of the
like,
race.
hey, where's my money now?
You
Yeah.
can choose what to do with that money.
Oh.
You can choose to responsor me. Now,
But
these
when you
folks
but
here,
when you say you, who do you refer to?
whoever, like let's say you put up $1 million.
Biden, right?
Then
No.
you can decide. No, not Biden. The sponsor can decide. The one who made the endorsement, the one who sponsored, can decide. Hey, listen, put that into the Democrat Party, to the next candidate, to the next nominee.
Whoever they back up,
Whoever it is.
I'm with it.
Whatever company.
Or I could say, hey, I didn't vote for that person. Give me my money
It
back.
doesn't sound right because
That's
once
weird,
if
though.
the money leaves,
Yeah,
what's your opinion?
No, I think no. If the money was already given to the campaign,
Right.
that's different. After the fact, that's another story.
What would you prefer to do with the money? What would you prefer gets done with the money?
We got to look at what the loss is. I'm not exactly sure what it is.
Right.
Because I know there's a lot.
The money
there's
was
strict
donated
rules on
to
that.
Biden, or was it donated to the
Biden.
Democratic?
No, to the Biden
Campaign.
No, it's to the campaign.
And now his campaign is done.
Yeah,
But didn't they
have to
collect,
So
figure out how
Biden,
to do that?
so Biden endorses Kamala. So he
But it doesn't
endorses Kamala.
No, and that's fine. But still, the money,
Right.
the premise.
it was for that specific.
We
Yeah,
have to
because-
look at
because
we gotta
that's
see-
what
it's
it
in the
sound-
courts
that's
right
what it
now,
sound-
so we gotta
yeah.
figure out what it is.
yeah. But
That's
either
what
way,
it sounds like
it's
corruption,
it's
you know,
strict.
because
It's strict.
because whether
Yeah.
whether he's corrupted or not, it's just a slippery slope there. Like, you know, imagine you sponsor me, and I go, oh, I'm out, but I'm gonna give him the money.
Right.
It's like, what? What do you mean? Like, it's just, hey, I didn't give you money for him. I give you money for you.
No, you
So
can't.
It's a weird thing.
That they can't. They're not doing. So let's just say you're a big company. Let's just say you're Shell or Mobil, and you sponsor me $10 million, and then I decide to back out of the race, and I turn around and I say, well, I'm giving her the money. It looks easy when there's an accusation on live TV, but what the truth is, when this sponsor has been donating to this Democratic Party for the last 50 to 100 years.
Right, yeah.
All right. Okay. So am I really that ignorant that I'm just going to say, here, dude, this is wrong. But next 4 years, you ain't got a sponsor anymore.
Right,
No,
right,
dude.
right.
That's a theory. That's as much as an argument as it is for Trump to use campaign money to pay his legal fees.
Right. But either way, in 24 hours, she got $500 million. Did you guys know that?
Yeah, I heard
was
that.
500 million
She got
or
250?
250?
She got
a quarter of a
Yeah,
billion.
it's
got 100 million.
250 million. That's
Okay,
what
you
it
see
is.
how the numbers went up? I was told 280. So all right.
Well, that's because a lot of their big sponsors, they said if you don't get him out, we're gonna take our money elsewhere.
Oh, wow.
So when they did what they wanted,
Yes.
they gave the money. You know,
Okay.
See?
which is the way.
Well, you see how they work their money.
Yeah.
Now
that's
now
how
look
they do it.
what just happened there. They said if you don't take him out, we're gonna move the money we already gave you.
No. Now what they already gave is that we will not give you more money. That's what they said.
No, the money, the
they
funds.
they can't pull it back.
Of course they can.
No, they can't.
Of course they can.
Once you pay for the campaign, what, you're gonna say, "What? Give me my money."
They're gonna stop donations, but they have
Stop,
pledges. They have pledges, right? They said
Well,
they agreed to a certain
there's-
amount of money.
there's-
If they tell you we're going to give you 10 million for this campaign, they're going to go all the way up to the DNC. They're going to bless you with those 10 million. They're not giving you a $10 million check up front.
Well, the thing is,
I see what you're
now,
saying.
Now, when you're talking about DNC and you're talking about the campaign, it's two different things.
No, I mean it all comes to a close at
people
the
give
convention.
to the DNC when they donate money. A lot of people that give the small money, a lot of times they don't really give to a candidate. A lot of people actually give to the DNC.
Or to the party
To the
itself.
to the party itself.
So whatever they decide is all good with
But
them.
let me ask you this. But let me ask you this.
I'm not clear on when it's a candidate who collected a bunch of money and can't roll it over. So I don't know. I'm not 100% sure. I know that's in the courts right now. They're looking at that because apparently it may not be legal to do that. There's got to be a process to do it, and they have to follow it.
Because
Basically.
let me just give you a little insight from where I come from. Like in my country, when I was a kid, I came here when I was 21. I'm 46, so I've been here for 25 years. When I came here, the whole drug money and all that stuff, those people will donate huge amounts of money to whoever was going to be the president. Sometimes they would actually give money to the two parties. I'm going to give you 50 million, 50 million. Whoever wins, I'm in. So
Right.
It worked like that. It worked like that. So I come from a very corrupted, crazy world. So that's why politics for me are, I don't believe in it. Why? Because I've seen it deep. Here, it's never been quite like that, but that whole politics realm moves that way. It's tricky, it's weird, it's iffy. It's so because I don't understand a lot of it in this country. Based on what you just said, hey, what the law says? What is the right procedure? In Colombia, the procedure was weird because the Constitution wasn't respected as it is here. Here, people actually say, this is what the Constitution says, and if you don't go by it, then we have an issue. Over there was like, oh, the Constitution says this, but yeah, we're going to do whatever we want because money talks.
Right.
So it was kind of like that. Now, from that perspective, I'm trying to see how things work here.
Yeah.
So not in regards this money of the campaign, but in the campaigns themselves. How do you guys see Republican and Democratic as, hey, we have this candidate and they get X amount of money to X, Y, and Z? How do you guys see that? Because I don't understand what is the inside of it.
I think, well, when it comes to money, I know that there are limits that people can give, right? Dinesh D'Souza is an example. He gave a friend unknowingly a little bit more than he was legally supposed to do. Remember, he got convicted and he was
Okay.
you know, for things like that. But it happens so often. It's like they kind of pick and choose. So the city politics, at least I know in New Jersey, operate the way they do in your country. You know, they'll pay this guy out, you know, especially contractors. That's a big thing.
Yeah.
You know, I want you to vote my way because I want to build this condominium and I need you to
Hey, here's some money so you can let me do what I need to do.
Yeah.
City politics is like that. Federal politics is a lot more complicated. I'm not saying it doesn't happen there, but it's harder for it to happen there.
Okay.
But
There's a lot more.
based on-
There's a lot more procedure to go
yeah,
through.
There is.
I have a basic. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I have a basic example on how to answer some of that question. You have Trump, and you have Biden. Company called Galveston, right? You ever heard of them?
Galveston. Sounds familiar.
A company called Galveston, a company called Fisher Sand. Those are two of his multi-billion-dollar donors. Okay, they donate to Trump. Trump wins. Guess who gets all of the building projects for the wall?
Gotcha. Yeah.
Okay, them two. All right, Tommy Lee, the
Which I
CEO.
agree with the wall.
You know?
A quazillion
But,
percent.
but that's
I
not,
get it. I get
but
it.
my
I
point,
get your
my point is,
Yeah.
I'm going to donate. What's in it for me?
Got it.
And he's like, oh,
Yeah.
well, I'm going to build a wall.
Well, that's-
and that's money in your pocket because we're going to pay you to build it.
Got you.
You know what I mean?
And let me piggyback on that because that's so key what you just said there. I was actually talking to my sister a couple of days ago about this. Let's say that, for example, the governor in a state is Democrat. If in the next election is not a Democrat but a Republican, they fire everybody from all the jobs and stuff, and they
Right.
get new people, which are their people.
Right.
So, for example, teachers, judges, contractors, blah, blah, blah. That's how it works in Colombia. So she was telling me, hey, I have this friend that she's without a job because they just changed the government and they just changed all the jobs and stuff.
Wow.
Now, that's where I come from. And that's what I see in politics. Does that work the same way here?
Cabinet positions usually change. All the cabinet positions.
By cabinet, you mean
What I
like
mean
local?
is let's say in the federal government, right?
Okay.
You have people that worked for Trump or whoever. For let's say right now Biden, he has his Secretary of Education. He has the director of-
Transportation.
It's
and,
what's called the administration.
Okay.
administration.
Okay.
So
Okay.
those
Clear.
people do get changed.
because those are his people
Because
that are
those
going to
are
work with
cabinet
his thing.
Got it.
Okay.
Got it.
And that's
Okay.
that's something that's always been.
What I want to talk about, and I kind of want to, so because people are watching, they're listening, and they want to make a choice. So you said that you were a Democrat, but policy change. That when you say policy, what was it? One policy? Was it two? Because I want to be able to understand policy, and I want to be able to hear both sides. So. Was it a policy that changed that changed your views?
For me was the corruption that I saw
Yes.
in the party.
Yeah.
It was they didn't even hide it. You know, it was just bad.
Yeah.
And then policy wise,
Okay.
the things that I believed as a Christian,
Yeah.
I'm finding that I'm supporting with my vote and when I'm at work, and then I was being conflicted, right? So I'm
Yeah.
like, I mean, just look at right now what just happened in California, right? They just passed a law that if a child thinks a boy thinks he's a girl, they can start a transition without even including the parents. That's the state law now.
Okay. So that's a policy. When you say policy, that's
right.
a policy.
That's a policy.
Abortion is a policy.
It's a policy.
Got it.
Correct.
Got it. Did you know that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow, you're one up than me. Go ahead.
So when I started to look at both sides, and I'm like, there's no way. So again, example, I'm a man of God.
Yeah.
So I'm preaching on Sunday. Let's say I'm preaching against, I don't know, homosexuality. Let's say.
Yeah.
Right? Saying the Bible says abomination, blah blah blah. And then that same week, I'm voting for the party that is supporting that idea and pushing that idea. So what am I?
Got it.
The Bible talks about a double-minded man.
Unstable in all his ways. Right.
So
Yeah, there's a conflict inside of you.
So that's what happened to me.
So it was a conviction.
Big time conviction.
Okay.
And then I was like, wait a minute. There's no way I can support this thing.
And where were you, like financially? Were you low class, middle at that time?
Let's see.
At that time,
I was an IT guy. I was maybe middle.
Okay, so that's why it was easier to
Yeah.
vote Democrat. I mean, a Republican. Got it.
Yeah,
Because
but-
as a
but-
Democrat, in the mindset in the hood is like, I need help.
Right.
So, I need shelter. I need food.
One thing that I tell people that I found when I saw myself seeing is that, we're all told that the Democrat Party is for the poor.
Yes.
But the reality is they're to maintain the poor, because that's how they get their power. If I tell you I'm going to give you government cheese, you're going to vote for me.
Wow.
If I'm going to pay you half your rent, I'm going to put you on Section 8. You're going to keep voting for me.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So when I started to see that, and I was like, wait a minute, something's not right here. There's nothing was progressing in the city. The city was falling apart. Promises. Taxes keep going up. Jersey is expensive.
So let me ask you a question, and let me clarify something. When you say I want to get answers from both sides, I want to remove myself out of the side.
What I mean by both sides is getting, because
Both perspectives.
different perspectives.
Okay, good.
Yeah,
good. But I want to clarify that for the viewers.
Yes.
That I'm not a representation of the Democrat Party.
Correct.
Oh, yeah.
Neither am I a representation of the Republican Party.
Correct.
In terms of government cheese, there are people who have received government cheese who have excelled, and have become great people. And recently,
That was me.
yeah, well,
I got it too.
well, recently, before I got married, my wife had a pretty serious financial debt.
Right.
And I started to find out, as we looked into getting married and finances and things like that. And I said, wow. What I did find out was that she had enrolled into a college. Ironically, it was backed by Trump, but that's not why that's not why I'm bringing it up.
Right.
But that turned out to be a fraud. You signed up and you took on this huge college debt, and you got the degree, and then you found out that none of the schools would honor that degree.
Wow.
So Biden comes in and says, hey, no one has done anything about these colleges, and these people are paying all these student loans. My wife was one of them. I read up on the forgiveness plan that Biden enrolled, and I said, well, in my head, is this fake?
Yeah.
Is this one of those things that people say aren't
It's
real?
hard. It's hard to
Is this a
believe that
lie?
kind
Is
of
this a
stuff.
promise?
Yeah.
I signed her up. Took me about 5 minutes, and she has no college debt.
But you know
Okay.
what? We're paying for that.
But
That's what hurts me.
but
about
I want to
Yeah.
talk about the individual plan.
Right.
Is where does she go from here? she turns around and she honors that forgiveness plan. And then she is now took it further, and she's now working freely, making more money. That is not just going back into that. She is now bringing her money home, making more money, and she's adding to the economy because she's making more money. She's not paying it back to a fraudulent plan.
Gotcha.
All right? Because if we pay and we go to the store
Right.
with all the money that we would have been giving this fraudulent college,
Yeah.
then our economy's bad.
Right.
Because who's the bigger crook? The person who accepted the free help, or the person who fraudulently put you in a bind that we're releasing you from the free help from? So to turn around and to make the argument that has been made all the time to keep the poor is to say that everybody has a state of mind that if you acknowledge help, you're not going to go forward, which is true for a lot of people, but that's a mind problem. That's an individual problem.
No, I agree with that. And when it comes to the student loan debt forgiveness, I thought the same thing. I was like, well,
Yeah.
we're really paying for it. Now, the problem with that is the power of the purse is in Congress. President was never supposed to be able to do that without Congress. I mean, he did it, right? It is what it is. Again, she got blessed for it. Great thing. I had a student loan. It took me a while to pay. I paid it off. I signed up for something. I signed my name on the thing, and I'm responsible. So again, in that case, I get it, right? Because it was for nothing because it wasn't done right. Not
Right.
your wife, but the organization. I get that. But when it comes to going into student loan debt, whenever you see Democrats get desperate, you start seeing things like this.
Got it.
And they don't do it because they care. They do it because they want the vote.
But see, that's
about
a
power.
But
It's
that's
about
a
power.
But that's a question of now you're generalizing. That would be the same as a mega church pastor falls for sexual reasons, and you say, see, all these pastors are the same. They're just in it for their own personal gain. That you're generalizing every Democrat, and I think that here's an interesting here's an interesting thought on that side. Okay, so you got a financial situation there. Trump stands up and his policy says, and you can do your research and find this out, and his policy gets backed up. The donors back it up. Everybody backs it up. I'm going to build a wall. Remember that? And Mexico's going to pay for it. Mexico did not pay for it. Okay? Yeah. We paid for it. And that $1 billion situation, okay, is going to cost us and our children over decades to pay back what's already been done. On top of that, he claims that he built 500 miles of wall, which was more like 58, because the other two, there's 3 different classes of that wall. One of them was where there was absolutely no wall. Another one was where there was a cheap kind of wall that's falling apart. And another one was where there was a good main wall that could use some help. And so what Trump put in and built was the 58 miles of no wall. And then he just... what his bill did was fix up the other 400 and something walls that were there. Mexico didn't pay for it. We're going to pay for it.
I did not know that.
Oh, yeah. Well, here's another situation.
You knew that?
Well, I didn't know what the state of the wall was.
But he said Mexico paid for
he
it.
said Mexico was going to pay for
but
it.
It's the same thing that you guys were saying. For example,
but let me continue.
They just say things to get the vote.
Right.
No, but then look at this.
Yeah.
Here's another issue with that. And then when he wanted to ask for more money, all right, then America stood back and said, "Hold up, dude. You want us to give you more money to a problem, to an over-promised problem that you haven't completed with? We voted you in for this. This was your main point. And now you want us, America, in Congress and in the White House to go ahead and give you more to add to a promise that you haven't completed with." Yeah. And so what did he do? He got upset. And during a pandemic, because they said no, he shut down the government for the longest period of time ever in history. Another issue that that hurt us and is still hurting us today in economy.
I don't buy that. The economy went bad, and I'll tell you because of where I work, what I do for a living, the company I work for, we deal in energy. It's part of what we do, right? It's
I'm sorry. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that that's the whole reason for the economy going bad. I'm saying, did it work? Did he complete his promise?
No. When it came to the wall, no.
Did he ask for more money?
Yeah, of course.
Did he let the government go close for a long amount of time because he didn't get the money?
Who was in charge of the money?
Congress.
And who was running most of the Congress?
Who?
Democrats.
Right.
Because
you got to have a balance of power. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, because they're gonna block everything he's gonna do.
As they're doing now.
I get it. I know.
As they're doing now.
Right.
Biden wants to put out an immigration plan, and who says no?
Right. But you also said something about cost, right? You know, the billions of dollars that our kids are gonna pay. Well, you don't think we're paying now with all these illegal crossings? We're paying for these people to be here. You don't think that's a
absolutely
cost? Of course it is.
Absolutely.
We have to. I think we need to go back to the Remain in Mexico policy because that's the one that makes the most sense. You know, it's heartbreaking to see the people that are dying, coming over, but a lot of them are being promised something. They're being told a certain thing, and to get them here, and crossing illegally, and then getting busted and saying, "Oh, asylum," but that's not how it works.
Right.
I feel bad for them, but if you need asylum, the law says you got to go through a point of entry.
I get it.
All right.
Can I add to that?
Sure.
So here's what people are not talking about.
Right.
I agree with you 100%. I hate what's happening with that situation.
It's terrible.
But what people are not understanding is that George W. Bush implemented a plan, a policy that was designed to help Central American countries convince their people to stay there. Okay. And one of those policies are the first thing that Trump demolished when he got here. He eradicated it. So now, and the other policy was he got rid of the court system, but he got rid of the court system that was making sure that your paperwork went through the right way and this and that. So, okay. So now you didn't do enough to keep them away, but then we have another problem where you didn't do enough to keep them to want to stay home, and you didn't do enough to keep it to where we have a good system in place once they get here. The next thing is, how do you complain about something when a document is brought forward to your table, all right, to your table, and you're the Speaker of the House, a Republican, and you think it's a good deal? All right, Mr. McCarthy? You think it's an amazing deal, Mr. McCarthy, Speaker of the House, and you say, man, this is a great deal. This is what we need to fix our border system. But it came from Biden, and Trump makes a phone call and says, hey, we're not having that deal. And if you agree with that deal, we're going to cross you out because you're playing with opposition hands. It's going to make them look good, and they're going to win this election. All of a sudden, they do what's never happened in history. They get rid of their own speaker. When did that ever happen? The next speaker comes in and they say, hey, we're putting you in, but don't forget, you agree with that immigration policy and make him look good because things get fixed and they win. We're getting you out of here. Come on, man. Okay. What happened was we stopped being Americans and we're Republicans and Democrats.
Yeah, I know, and I hate
that's what's happening, man.
Yeah,
that's what's happening.
Is that an issue? Is that an issue of one side?
I think being Americans.
I think both sides.
You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
But when it comes to the McCarthy thing, so what did they do? They did what the people wanted, right? That's what the people wanted. When you talk about these deals, you know what pork is, right? Okay, so sometimes they put things in bills that they shouldn't belong there, right? And so what happens when you see a lot of times where Republicans, they say, oh, well, look at this great thing, but the Republicans voted against it. But why did they vote against it? Was it because of that, or was it because of all the other garbage that they put in there?
Right.
Both sides do this. Right?
Okay.
Yeah.
It's
since
pork.
the beginning.
It's called pork.
Since the beginning. Since George Washington.
It's terrible. It's terrible.
And that's the reason why the amendments exist.
Yeah. Right.
Is if your wife wants to divorce you and she gives you a dissolution of marriage contract, then what happens is that your lawyer comes in, he reads it. There's some parts of there that he doesn't like, and he amends it and gives it back. Right. It's the same way it should work. That's the right legal attitude to have.
It's like a negotiation in the
But you shouldn't just. But this is different. This is like you're in a divorce period and you read the legal contract and it's perfectly 50-50. You get the house, I get this house, you get this car, I get this car, and you still say, I don't care, I don't want to agree with her because it's her. It makes me look weak.
I think that's been most of the issue, and not in terms of politics, but in terms of I'm against this other side,
the person,
and then the country is the one who suffers because it's just a tug of war of who's more powerful, and at the end, the people who vote and whatever, they get screwed all the time.
Because we've always had these rules and regulations and ways of doing things in government, and we've managed.
Yeah.
But what is going on in 2024? That those rules and regulations, to the point that people are trying to amend Congress. I mean, I hate to say it, but you have to do the math, and you have to think to yourself, what screams the loudest and what changed? And I can't think about anything louder.
Trump.
Now let me throw something there. Let me throw something here in the middle.
It's starting to boil.
No, and it's great. I love it. I love it because I'm actually understanding, and I'm actually agreeing with what you're saying from both sides, because it's not like a Democratic and Republican. It's really understanding from different perspectives what is going on. Now, let me throw something in the middle, and then I don't know if it's going to explode or if it's going to, cool things off.
I'm not heated. I don't know.
This is what I used to see when I was a kid. Okay? When I was a kid, I didn't understand about politics. I hated it. Okay, I just saw my dad. He was probably like 35, 40, kind of like my age. He was very interested in it. He would read the newspaper, and he would read, about politics, and he would talk about things. And I'm like, why do adults care about this stuff? This is what I see today. Nobody reads, nobody knows, nobody cares. And there's this media enterprise creating all this commotion to make people emotional and make decisions based on emotions instead of knowledge and actually politics. So how do you guys see the politics of both sides? For example, you've said things that Trump did that I had no idea.
Right.
And then you said things that Biden did that I had no idea. Yeah. Every candidate, whether they're, from each party, they're gonna mess up. Some of them they're gonna hit it, and some of them are gonna miss it. Now, putting that aside, as the candidates, what is what the Republican Party offers, and what is what the Democratic Party offers? Because I have no idea what they offer.
That's a very good question, and that's my point. That's one of my strongest points in this. Is I believe in the statement, "A people perish from lack of knowledge," and
Hosea 4:6.
Yes, and I believe in that strongly. And so, what the problem is that there are so many people who are being swayed without true knowledge.
Right.
I mean, it's fortunate that we're here and we know a little bit, but there are so many people that I talk to on a regular basis, and I'm going to have to say it, particularly the Church of Jesus Christ, the Christian community, they all are going to vote for Trump. Like they're 99%, we're Trump. But then I promise you, constantly friends, cousins, whatever the case, pastor friends of mine, colleagues, I'm like, okay, so what are the policies? They have absolutely no idea
at all.
None. Yeah. All they know is abortion and gay. That's it. Abortion and gay. So I'm going to vote for Trump. Abortion and gay.
Well, or for example, like with this thing of the shot, he said, man, I'm alive because God is great. Oh, cool. And then, because he said God, and then the other guy didn't say it, I'm going to vote for him. I have no clue what is behind all that.
Well, let's make this clear. I don't think Trump is saved. The Bible says, by their fruits you will know them. I don't see Christian fruits. Now, am I going to vote for him? Absolutely. Why am I going to vote for him? I was a Democrat for many years because of my ignorance. But then, yes, I found out about the gay. I found out about the abortion. There is no way that I will vote for a Democrat president ever in my life going forward. Now, I did it since I was 18 to, many, 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 many years. Obama, I think twice, I voted for him. But when I found out, I said, you know what? I felt conviction because of that policy. To me, that's important. To me personally, that's why I would choose a Republican over a Democrat personally. So I'm that guy you're talking about.
Can I ask you guys a question
Yeah.
in regard that? And again, super ignorant about it and coming from Colombia. Why isn't there any other option outside of Republican or Democratic?
There is.
Because in my country, this is what happened when I was a kid. There was like the red and the blue, like here, but then it was this whole tug of war, and everybody got sick of it. And it's like there was something in my country that it was like, oh, you either vote for this, or you vote in white, and a white vote was I'm not agreeing with any of them.
That's liberal. Right?
So
Independent. Yeah, I'm sorry.
So-
But there's an independent president.
No,
There's an independent running.
well, like for example,
JFK's
this guy
grandson?
JFK, yeah, the
Okay.
JFK guy was running independently, but I don't understand why there's no other option. Like, there's only these two things, and that's it. Like,
yeah, we have independents. We have the Green Party, but there's
Ross
so small.
Perot. We have Ross Perot.
what's that?
We got the DSA, the Democratic Socialist Party.
We got some people who stand up and say, "Hey, I'm going to be different."
But they don't.
Vote for
But
me.
why don't they get any track with people though?
Because the people have already been
Brainwashed with stuff.
Remember the last time I was on the podcast? You remember the dog fence story?
Oh yeah. You remove the fence.
You
and
remove the
dog
fence.
stayed- right.
The dog still thinks
Yeah.
there's a fence there.
But I want you to continue talking about that because I am that Christian.
Yeah.
And there are many that are viewing right now
Yeah.
this podcast or listening that, yes, for us is important, abortion and gay.
Right.
So talk a little bit more about that.
So my thing is listen, my statement stands on the very fact that, as I said earlier, you have people who say I'm going to vote for him, but don't know anything else other than he's anti-gay and anti-abortion. That's it.
Oh, and the border and keeping, lifting up,
Yeah, but
to
the
me
border,
that's important.
But they're America together. There's a part of it that they just bash each other, and that's what we hear.
Right.
And then there's a part of it
Right.
that, as Americans, they know they got to come together.
Got it.
And they got to produce,
Understand.
or they're going to
When
lose.
it comes to policy,
Okay.
right? When it comes to policy, I know that most people are not informed, right? They talk about the gay thing, they talk about that, right? For me, it's a lot more, right? It's economy, it's trade deals, it's foreign relations. The economy is just the biggest thing right now. Fuel,
Yeah.
all that right now is a joke.
Yeah.
We're not respected in the world. Nobody fears Biden. I mean,
Well, and the dollar has lost a lot of weight in the market.
because the economy is in the garbage. It's just, they can say all they want, build back better, whatever. Bidenomics is trash. Right. They can say it is what it is, and they think it's this super great thing. But
It's
it
horrible,
really,
right?
But it's not.
Yeah, but
I'm living it.
I agree 100%.
Do you know that when it comes to fuel really drives a lot of
Yeah,
the
Oh,
cost.
yeah.
Okay.
the economy is based pretty
Yeah.
much on that, on the petrol.
So even the world economy, like the shipping, the import, the export,
Yep.
Yes.
what we're paying freight forwarders,
Mm-hmm.
right? They get a set cost per container to move things.
Okay.
About a year ago, the number was up 400% per container. Okay, that's bad.
Okay.
All right.
Is that tariff? That's tariff.
No,
is
no,
something
no.
else.
That's
okay.
that's something else.
Okay. Go
So-
ahead.
And then you have some countries that will put tariffs on our stuff. So when Obama was president, nicest guy in the world, but we couldn't move a lot of the freight. We couldn't move. It was bad. I'm in that
Field.
field right now.
Yeah.
And when it comes to China, what I believe is we need to tax them the way they tax us.
Got it.
Example, Costa Rica. I don't know if it's changed, but if you were to import a car from the U.S. to there, you know how much the tariff is?
I don't.
100%.
Oh, wow.
If a truck costs you $30,000, it's going to cost you $60,000 there. Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
You see what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and again, Costa Rica is it's a small country. I've been there. It's a beautiful
Right.
place.
Right. Yeah.
We have offices there that we open, but great place. But again, that's just them. Now, China, Japan, getting our stuff out there, it was terrible. So my thing is, you know what? If you're gonna charge us, we're gonna charge you what you charge us.
Right.
And you see how things start to change. So that's one of the things that Trump was harping on.
Got it.
Was those things, and that's why.
What was it called? The policy,
It was trade.
the historical trade deal
Yeah, the trade deals.
that he signed, and it
It-
was
it
to be
was
signed by
terrible.
China, and the bill was supposed to be paid at December.
No, the one he
of
did was the
2021.
Americas one.
Right,
The
but the
America
one, the
was.
specific one that we're
That one
speaking
went
about,
through.
China. It was
No,
a $200 billion
Yeah,
plan
yeah.
that China was supposed to agree with,
Yeah.
because we were going to keep
and-
everything here,
yeah.
and China did not pay.
Yeah.
We voted for Trump for that.
Gotcha.
Not just for that,
But that was one of his main.
Right, come on.
No, but he
Let's
still
be
brags.
real.
But
Let's
he
be
still
real.
brags about it. I forced China to pay.
China's-
China, for the record, China did not pay 1 cent of that historical deal. He put it out there. He paid the demand. He said, I'm going to stop you, and you're going to be forced to pay us $200 million. Look it up. Historical
I don't
trade
know-
deal. Write it
I
down.
don't-
Look
I
it up.
don't know
China
anybody-
never paid.
I never know. I don't know anybody
200
who
million-
ever
200
voted
billion.
for him based on the trade with China.
Right.
It was never just that one thing. It was the whole trade thing in general.
So what happened when you couldn't buy a car in America?
we have our own.
Where was
So
it? What happened to- we couldn't get the chips?
We need to buy. Oh, I know.
Why?
That's a big problem.
Did it happen?
That's
Whose
another thing.
administration?
I'm glad you brought that
Whose
up.
administration?
Oh, that happened way before.
Oh.
So we're talking about. Okay, I'm an
I
IT guy,
couldn't buy it.
'cause
I couldn't
know
buy
you
the
are
car.
too.
I couldn't buy it during the Trump administration.
Yeah.
I don't know if it happened back then or what.
By
But I
what?
bought a car. Like I could, if I was I was in it. I remember a time during the Trump administration where I was like, man, nothing better happened to my car because right now they're telling me there's no cars because
yeah.
there's
But
no
it was
chips.
the chips. It was
Because-
the chips.
The
Yeah.
chips.
Yes,
After
there's no
COVID, yeah.
chips.
The chips.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Part of that whole deal.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
And
That did not. It didn't fall his way.
Right.
That was a fail. He got to admit that was a fail.
Okay. Yeah, I agree.
They both
A lot
both
of things.
plans have a lot
Yeah,
of
yeah.
fails, and there was. But I'm saying
But
a lot of his
what-
stand-up policies that he still brags about today were total failures.
Yeah, like Biden.
But who knows this?
Biden's claiming that his,
Let me ask you. But here's my point. This is my point from before. All of these people that are voting for Trump based on the two things that they know, right? Abortion and gay. You said something that was really interesting. You said, well, when you implement these policies and these plans, they have a lot of other little policies and plans in there that you don't agree with, right? So on the flip
what?
side, on the flip side of that,
I don't think you understood what I was saying.
no. On the flip side of that, so you have the abortion plan where you have Planned Parenthood, right? So Planned Parenthood, they're for abortion. They're the main one. Trump wants to shut them down, but Planned Parenthood, up till this time, is the one that has been giving young ladies that can't afford it health care for their bodies, has been giving them birth control, have been giving them pap smears, have been giving them. They can go to Planned Parenthood.
How much of it have they done? Because that came out too, and it was totally false.
No, I'm just saying that I'm not a spokesperson for Planned Parenthood. I'm just telling you that.
because that's the way they said, but that's not the reality.
Oh no, they're there. They're there. My wife has gotten birth control for them for years.
But birth
Okay,
control, yeah, I know
Okay,
that
but
for sure.
so just to keep
But
the record
do you-
clear
do
that
you-
the
you need to
company
go there
that
for that?
no, but the company that he's claiming. So here's another spinoff to that.
yeah.
All right. So I don't want. So you made a statement earlier that I've heard a lot. I don't want anything to do with anyone that has any ties to that abortion plan, right? So then, be careful.
What do you mean?
When you said how you switch from Democrat to Republican,
because
I found out
that was an example
that if they have anything to do with abortion, I don't want anything to do
that
with
was
them.
just one thing, yeah.
Right. So I'm going to piggyback
yeah,
on that.
yeah.
So then you got to be very careful when you're working.
Yeah.
And your company offers you one insurance plan. Oh, we're going with Aetna, or we're going with Blue Cross Blue Shield. They back
Yeah, I know.
the abortion plan.
Yeah.
Okay. They'll pay for it. They donate to it, they support it, and they're donors of it and endorsers of it. But we're so quick to not know, I'm not going to be a Republican because they back up the abortion, but I'm surely running to my doctor with my Blue Cross Blue Shield, papas.
Yeah,
Right.
but if the policy is that it's not going to be allowed, it doesn't matter what the insurance does because they can't pay for it anyway.
There's a Christian-based network insurance that's out there. We got to make a decision.
I know that, but if the policy is right, again, going back to policy, if the policy says he wants to put it back to the states where it should be, right? That's what he said. He's not saying about, I would like to see it gone, but the fact of the matter is that's something that should go to the states. It shouldn't be a federal thing.
But again, my point is not that it's right or wrong.
Right.
My point is that people are making decisions
don't
without
know the full
knowledge.
extent.
They
of
haven't read the full
Absolutely.
script. It's like it's like you read, the book, and you run into a scripture that says women shouldn't be allowed to preach or teach at a church, and then you go back and you can't have any women preaching. Well, you don't know where it happened, why it happened, what it happened. You see what I'm saying? You got to read the whole thing. You got to get to understand.
I agree.
My argument today is not Republican or Democrat. It is school yourself,
Get informed.
knowledge yourself.
Yeah.
What works? You know what? There. If I was a multi-billionaire, if I was Elon Musk, Trump would be my boy. Right?
No. Let me ask you.
But since I'm down here with the middle class, I gotta look and say, man, I'm not saying that I'm not for Trump. I'm not saying that I am for Biden. What I am saying is, I gotta look at these policies and say, man, what's gonna help my future? What's gonna help my mom? What's gonna help my grandma? What's gonna help my neighbor? You know what I mean? I can't just go with the showboat of what these people are doing. Number one, all right, and this is one thing that I'm not okay with. All right, what I'm not okay with is forcing people, okay, to forcing people, or in other words, taking away somebody's ability to sin is also taking away somebody's ability to willfully reject sin. Okay, God doesn't do it. I don't think man should do it either. What I mean by that is if you're gonna criminalize it, if you're gonna make a young lady a felon because she had an abortion, and you're gonna base that now, I would say politics and policy, you can call it that, and I'm okay with that. But when you say that you're doing this in the name of God and in the name of Jesus, it doesn't stand up, because that's not how he rolls. When he turned and he looked at the prostitute woman, and they came with their laws in place and intact, and he said, that's not how I do things. Okay, that's maybe how they do things, but that's not how I do things. I'm neither gonna force you. I'm gonna give you a better option, and I'm gonna let you know, hey, this is sin. This is not the right thing to do. I am for a better educating system for young ladies and young men. I am for more give more to the foster programs, give more to the adoption programs, offer more to those people who, hey, but there's an argument out there that has no justification in the name of God. Don't call it God, call it politics, call it your policy. Don't say, oh, it's because this is what God wants. God said, there's the tree. The law today, they would remove the tree and say, well, it's better,
if there's no tree at all.
We're gonna make it a crime right now, and Jesus is like, hey man, you have what? Sin, and if you reject sin, a blessing or a curse. How do you want to live? There's a choice, and they're not asking. I hate when people say that Democrats are for abortion, as if the whole Democrat Party has an abortion sign outside their house. Right. It's not the truth.
But that's a rhetoric, because whatever you, for example, talking about the gay and the abortion thing, okay? Whoever says yes to that, then everything else is hidden, because those are the two main issues that everybody pays attention to.
The church.
So nobody else pays attention to anybody else based on those two choices, okay? Right. Now, we cannot say, okay, abortion is gone and gays are gone, and then we're good. Right. Because it doesn't work like that.
Because you're going to have what happened in the 70s. You're going to have abortions happening in the alleys, in the backyards. You're going to have mutilated women who are using hangers and are going to the hospital. You're going to have babies in the dumpsters, like happened in the 70s.
Because the majority of people are not.
Is that what we're going to call God?
Into the Christian values. They're not. This country is not into the Christian values anymore. They are into comfort.
Yeah.
They are into make life easy for me. Hey, I have a phone that does everything, and I don't have to do it. And I work from my phone. I do everything from my phone. So nobody wants to fight for liberty. Nobody wants to fight for rights. Nobody wants to put up a fight for anything.
Look, gentlemen, my argument is not what's right and what's wrong. My argument is don't say that you're doing that in the name of God.
Yeah.
Because you're not, dude. Don't do it. Don't do it so that you can win the popular evangelistic vote and use God. All right. The man said earlier, a tree is known by its fruit.
Right.
All right. I'm not going to judge you because we all make mistakes. Yeah. And we all have a responsibility to seek the Lord and find him. But I am going to say, when you stand up there and you try to look like you try to protest to the entire community that you're somehow doing God a favor by criminalizing sin, okay? And then you're excluding, there's other issues. The gay rights. Okay, they want to talk about gay people. They're teaching in schools. I don't like it. Yeah, I know nobody in here likes that situation, right? The other day I saw somebody on a podcast or on a show on YouTube, and this well-known evangelist who's always on the street preaching, and he goes to a school where there's a drag queen, and she's teaching kids.
Wow.
And she's dressed a little provocative, she or he, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And this man, okay, stands up in anger, and he begins to just shout, and he gets out of pocket, he's out of order, he's chaotic, and he gets thrown out. Right. Okay? The Bible that he is backing is a good Bible. I get it. But let me tell you the difference, bro. The difference is she or he, whatever that is, used the proper channels to be able to get their voice heard. Okay? Went through the proper channels, followed the proper rules, used their voice, got in, and was made part of that to be able to get. He trespassed, showed up, and showed chaotic, and that wasn't love, and that was not the Jesus that I know.
Well,
it's a horrible situation, and I'm going to tell you why. DeSantis just signed a bill allowing us to go, us believers, us Christians, us preachers of the gospel, allowing us to go in to the schools and preach the gospel. Okay? Right. How many of us have done it?
Right.
How big is that thing?
That's the issue. The issue is that I've heard this probably like 3-4 years ago.
Guess what happened
maybe
immediately?
Even more.
Guess what happened immediately?
What?
When he flipped that bill. Immediately, the gay community rose up. They came with lawyers.
That's the whole point.
They came with judges.
Wow.
And they said, we're going to be able to go in there and
fight
and teach. If they're going to teach against us, we're going to go. They went, they spent the money. Right. They did the time. I'm not for them. I'm just saying, man, it's been like this a long time ago. Look,
but
what
this is
you
the deal.
What you don't go to will come to you.
Yeah. This is the deal. Like years ago, the gay community in the spectrum of the US was probably like 3 or 5%. And with those small numbers, they got all those policies going. Why? Because they got organized, they infiltrated the system, and they lobbied for whatever they want, and they're where they are today. Christians were like 60% of the population in the US, and we cannot get united to do anything.
Yeah.
It was 60%. And then we have all these denominations, we fight against each other, but they get unified. And with 3% or 8% of the population, they get more done than we got being 60% of the population. So the issue is, what kind of unity are we in, and what are we fighting for?
Well, how come we could educate an alcoholic or a drug addict and offer him rehab and tell him, break down what his problem is, and bring many people with testimony and attack it that way and offer him a way out? But when it comes to something like that, it's an immediate no.
Right.
It's just a shutdown. It's what is it? Too big of a problem for you? Is it, and that's respectfully, that's a problem that I have today. Today, our church is afraid of sin. All right. Sin is a bigger problem than the God they believe in. They lack in faith and they lack in power because they got big mouths. You got big preachers with big platforms, but they got small results.
Yeah. I wanted to mention, so when they brought the lady that was accused, and Jesus, he said, pick up the stone and cast it, without those that without sin. I'm stuttering because I'm saying, when can I jump in? I wanted to jump in like an hour ago. And what happened was Jesus then told her what? Go and sin no more. Sin no more. And for me, I think that what you say for me is key. Again, everyone's going to make that decision. But to have these policies in place where we don't have to worry about a filthy, dirty LGBTQ XYZ teaching these kids, man, for me, that's big, huge. Working on the border and keeping the illegal aliens out and sending them back to their country, for me, that's big, Abortion, I get it. It can be incest. It can be all these, these things. But for me, that's key. It sells, and these are strong policies for me that's why I'm going to choose Republican, for me. But everyone's going to make their decision. Josiah, if you read Josiah, when he became king, and I think he was, 8 years old, I mean, he destroyed places, destroyed. So when I hear love, it's like, oh, peace and love. No, man, we are Protestants. We're supposed to protest. We're supposed to stand up as men and women of God and stand firm for righteousness. And I get it. I agree. And yeah, I know you do. And I get this. I know that we're not electing a pastor to run the United States. I get that. But I'm not looking at the man. I'm not voting for Trump. I'm voting for the policies. I'm voting for the Republican Party.
Well,
you see what I mean?
What I hear from you is that those things align more with what you are agreeing
My
with.
Convictions, what I believe.
But the main issue with that is what you just said. You're not choosing a person that is a Christian that aligns with everything that you said.
Right.
Pretty much what I hear is the least worst is what I'm getting, because that aligns to,
the lesser evil.
Yeah, the lesser evil. So for example, the fact that there are no other options make you choose the lesser evil out of the two options.
Things that work for me. But again, I'm at a different bracket per se. So it'll benefit me more.
And for example, like in that sense of like, okay, the less evil, I'm gonna choose.
Yeah.
I don't see unification of people fighting for what they really want. They just talk a lot, but they don't do a lot. The gay community and the LGBT, they stopped talking. They started doing. They started infiltrating. They infiltrated the arts. They infiltrated the music, the media, the
church,
the TV,
the churches,
everything.
But that's what Sergio was saying.
And they got into law, and now they have the same rights, as every other Christian. Hey, you preach God. I can preach Satan. Oh, you go to a school and you talk about God. Oh, I can talk about being homosexual and whatever. So they use the system to their advantage, because they got united and they got it done. Why can't we do the same? If we are the body of Christ and we are so big.
We can. But what he said, we're Protestants. What's that mean? We are here to protest. Nobody's protesting.
Right.
Yeah.
Nobody's protesting.
Nobody says anything.
Everybody wants, let's bring Bibles back to school. For what?
Right.
For what?
Yeah.
Okay, let's sign the bill. Okay. Who's going to school with the Bible?
Uh-huh.
All right. Right now, another example. Again, brings us back to DeSantis. My point is, so don't throw away don't reject the policy, amend it. Say, all right, listen, we point at people like you're for this. And the question is not that they're for it. The question is the terminology that they're using. And believe me, I'm not for abortion. I'm talking about, I'm talking logistically in the world's point of view, because again, the president has to defend and fight for the rights of everybody within his borders, man. Whether they have the same views and convictions that I do, they're an American. And they don't know that they're in the wrong place. They don't know that they're wrong. They don't know they're in sin. That's our job, to bring the light to them and show them that. That's not the president's job. That's not the government's job. That's our job. The government's job is to politically handle government situations.
Right.
All right? And to do it for everybody within its borders. Yeah. Now you turn around and you amend that and you say, hey, listen, it's not that they're abortion. They're called it choice.
Right.
That's what they're saying. They're saying, listen, we want to put this out there so that you have a choice. All of you have a choice. They're looking at our choices like it's wrong. They're looking at like, how are you going to let them bash? How are you going to allow them to have this, that? You know, that's choice. We get to choose to preach the gospel, to stand up for Jesus. They get to choose to preach their message, their rhetorics, their lies, their filth. You know what I mean? But now, to what my argument again, don't call it God. Don't stand in front of the camera with a Bible and say you're doing this in God's name. Because what happens is, what happens is that your balance is off. Some of your policies don't represent God, and some of them do. Your life doesn't represent God, but you're saying that your policies do. And then the Lord himself does not shut you down. He doesn't condemn you. Right. And that's condemnation. That's what he wants to bring, is condemnation, a strong law. And that's what Jesus came to finish that situation, man. He said, look, bro, everybody here is going to lose. Everyone, all of you, I don't care, Christian or not, you're going to fail. You're going to sin. Should I condemn anyone, or should I give you an opportunity? And so when you say choice, that's a hard opportunity. Now, if there are people that are strong and they're satanic and they want their situation out, I get it. There is a satanic movement that is pushing their agenda. I understand that. I'm totally against it, but I don't believe that God is worried about it at all. So neither am I. But today, when I look at my politician, I'm not looking at my politician in a place where he's going to affect my daughter at school, or he's going to affect my kid. That's my job, man. You know what I mean? Like, that's my church's responsibility, and my responsibility as a Christian father and as a Christian leader, as a pastor, as a minister, to go ahead and implement the living word of God. Because 4 years of this, next year you're going to have 4 years of that. I mean, it goes on and on.
Yeah.
But we have to be able to say there has to be a tree for them to know not to eat from.
I'm gonna spin this up real quick, Guillermo. So they try to kill Trump, man. And I'm gonna call this, and I can be wrong, but I really think it was an internal job. That's my opinion, because how is it possible that they saw him climbing on the roof, the police officer, the sniper, and stop me if I'm wrong, knew that he was on that roof. And stop me if I'm wrong, the sniper could have shot. He asked, can I shoot? And they didn't allow him to shoot. Didn't they fire him?
I heard he was fired. I know that they reported that he was asking permission to shoot. I don't know, though, that is a fact.
But he was fired.
No, I heard he was
for
fired,
taking him out after he shot. Yeah. Listen, I'm not looking at Trump. I'm looking at the situation. I'm not a Trumpite. I'm not this Trump worshiper. I'm not. To be honest with you, it's going to be so hard for me to hear him for another 4 years.
If he wins.
When he wins. I'm calling it. Hello. Yeah. I'm calling it. You called Biden. I'm calling Trump.
Well, Biden's out.
I know he's out, but I'm saying I'm calling Trump. Yeah, it's going to be dreadful to him. Oh, I built the border and I did this. Bro, you didn't do nothing.
Back to the mute button again.
You know? 4
years.
So in my prediction is that, he's going to win. Number two, I believe that it was an inside job, just because forget about Trump. It's just the narrative, everything that just happened.
Well, how could that guy get in through the Secret Service? Nothing gets through the Secret Service. Nothing.
I know.
Like we had Trump here coming to the Diplomat, and they closed probably 7 miles around, and everything was checked. Everything was and the guy's like 400 yards.
I had a interesting experience with that.
Yeah.
In the 90s. I don't know if you guys remember that the Pope came to the U.S. He came to Newark. He came to I used to work for the Archdiocese of Newark.
Okay.
I was a help desk manager there.
Okay.
And the Pope was coming. That was the big deal. And
security is crazy with the Pope. It's crazy.
Well, the thing was that Bill Clinton came. And what happened was we met with Secret Service. They came because we needed to give them access to our network so they could communicate. It was one of the things we needed to do. So we had to set up all the switches and all the routers and all that stuff. But also, we had to grant them access to all the roofs. There was another building across to the right of us that we owned, there was one of the higher buildings besides the cathedral, which is the highest. So they were up there.
So the vantage points were already like set up.
And then all the apartment buildings on the left, they were also tall. They were all over that.
Right.
So when this happened, and, I also do a lot of shooting, a lot of long distance shooting. And when I was looking at this, my sister, like I said before, my sister called me. She goes, "You looking at this, man? This is." I had no idea this was going on, right?
Right.
So I'm looking at the videos, and I'm picking out like, it doesn't make sense.
No.
So first, you got the shooter, right? The
sniper.
You got the sniper. You get his spotter, who's in the prone position, which he should have been. I understand why the sniper wasn't in the prone, because he needed to be more elevated, because the buildings looked like they were all about the same height.
Okay.
So they needed a higher position. It would have made more sense. I know there was a water tower further back. I hope they had somebody there.
Right.
But because you want the high vantage, you need the high. You know how it is.
But the sniper saw him.
I know.
So how do you explain
I don't get
that?
I don't get that.
So what's your opinion? I mean,
That is crazy.
Opinion, because that's all
crazy.
it is. We don't have facts.
Yeah.
You think a crazy guy that just happened to get on a roof?
I'm not gonna say, the theories that are out there, they're gonna be out there
I don't know
forever.
the theories.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, there's theories, but there's theories just as much as there are.
Yeah.
He was a divine move of God for him not to die or
Right.
whatever. But there was 40 attempts against Hitler's life, and he didn't die until he committed suicide in 1945 with his wife.
That's allegedly.
There's exactly. And then
But I'm looking at the facts. The facts with the shooter. I'm not worrying about the divine.
Right. But I just wanted to knock that out. But then what do you look at? Let's just say there was a conspiracy and somebody set that up.
Yeah.
Who? And for what?
The Democrats to shut him down. I mean, I
But
can't
why?
think
If a
of
lot of
another,
Republicans didn't like him either.
because they know this man is going to take the race, man. I mean, he was fighting against a guy that couldn't speak right, couldn't think right.
Well,
I mean, not fighting.
So
but
let me ask you this:
I just think that the conspiracy thing or the theories and stuff is mostly like Trump doesn't fit the mold of a regular politician.
Right.
And because of that, he creates commotion.
Chaos.
And they don't want commotion.
Right.
So the whole point of killing him was shutting down that option of,
Right.
hey, this is going to get out of the political planning, or the political
Building
game.
So how
a
did the Democrats-
Trumpite world. you
So
know?
how did the Democrats infiltrate the system?
What do you mean?
How were they so successful at it?
How did they kill Lincoln?
No, but at Trump, let's stop it. Let's stop at
Right,
Trump.
yeah.
How did they do
Yeah.
it? How did they?
I know. I'm not saying like I don't. I'm not commenting on how or what. All I'm looking at is the whole situation, and I'm
It's
looking,
weird.
It's weird.
Yeah.
And and I'm looking at even with the Secret Service, some of the you saw the lady, she couldn't figure out how to holster her
Yeah,
gun.
yeah.
I'm looking at this like,
Well, she could have been nervous, but I'm looking at facts. A cop saw him go up, bro.
yeah.
They should have just. There is no get down.
Shut down.
Shut it down.
There was a report that a cop went up
Yeah.
on the roof,
Right,
the
and
guy
fell off.
and the guy pointed the gun at him, and
He fell off the roof.
I'm like, well, you know what? You get off the roof, you get your gun out, and you go back up and shoot him.
So who do you hold responsible for something like this?
I don't know.
That's what we're trying to figure
Yeah.
out, because
Yeah, I don't know.
what
I
goes
don't know.
through Secret Service.
I'm not gonna go into conspiracies, but the guy who shot is the guy who's responsible in my case.
Right. But
Until
the
I know
theories-
better. Until I know better.
But the theories are coming from the theories that are holding up right now are the lack of security.
oh no,
Correct.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, well, that's
All right.
that was
that was the
definitely-
gauge. That was a fix. That's
Well-
what they're saying. Like that was that the lack of security.
I don't
was,
think
based-
that was the fix.
You think they just totally slacked off?
Man, the sniper saw him and he
Yeah,
asked,
I know.
"Let me shoot him." Why didn't he shoot him?
What's your job? Like to shoot whatever.
But how about in terms of,
Yeah.
of so right now the media and everybody is talking about how there was a lack of security.
Yeah.
Right.
There was like,
Definitely.
all the cops were inside the building. They called it outside of the radius, and it wasn't outside the radius. He was close by. There should have been somebody on that roof.
Correct.
They thought there was somebody on that
Yes.
roof.
Yes.
They were looking for him. They got reports on him. They got all this stuff that proves and it shows that somebody dropped the ball.
Yeah.
Right.
Right?
That's why the whole thing is like it's supposed to be an internal job because like
Right.
there's this lack of security is very rare to see that.
I want to read you something.
Yes.
Think about this being my job. Oversee the management, right? Oversee the management of physical security measures, including access controls, CCTV systems, and security personnel. Develop and maintain incident response plans, ensuring timely and effective responses to security breaches. Manage records, documentations, and reportings. Demonstrate compliance and facilitate audits. Let's just say that was my job
Right.
to do for Trump.
Right.
Okay, for this conference, that was my responsibility, was to oversee, to look, to see, check the camera system, the radio system, check all the different groups that are in play, that are in place, and all of that. Well, that would mean that this would mean for me, if I was the party planner, I'm in charge of making sure the DJ's okay. I'm in charge of making sure the cake, the plates, everything from the first plate to the last spoon, everything has a place. That's my job. I'm in charge of facilitating all of that. That is called head of security role. There is a man who was Trump's head of security before he became president. There's a man who was head of security while he was president. And there's a man who is head of security now. And no one's asking him any questions. His name is Keith Schiller. Okay. What happened, Keith?
He was chilling.
What happened? Why do we keep pointing the fingers at everybody that we can open up doors to a conspiracy theory that has empty questions, that leaves empty, and just go to the man and say, "Hey, bro, you're done."
Why is it that they're trying to fire someone else?
But point the finger and say, "Hey, you're done."
Wait a
Is he
second. Wait a
Secret
second.
Service? He's not Secret Service.
No,
is he?
he's
Secret
employed by.
Service is in charge. Of the-
Exactly
of-
because,
but his
because
job-
Trump was a
No, no,
president
Trump's
at
people
one
is
time.
not.
But no,
Trump's
right.
guys are not.
No.
Secret Service
No,
is
no,
in
no,
charge.
no. Secret Service. Trump has a Secret Service, but Trump doesn't have the same amount of Secret Service as the president has.
Right.
That's
All right?
true. That's
Trump has
true.
a Secret
Yeah.
Service
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
given to him as an ex-president.
Ex-president, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Trump
Yes.
also has, and this is a proven fact, Trump also has his own security staff.
Yeah.
I'm not talking
That's
about
the one.
that.
That's the one you're referring to.
I'm talking about the guy that Trump pays to make sure that I don't care who they put.
That everything
I
is
got you.
taken
Like
care
I don't
of.
care who they put, bro.
Right.
You protect me.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? Like I'm gonna be if I'm president or whatever, and they're giving me their staff.
Right.
I don't know where the
Right,
staff is
right.
coming from.
I see what
I'll be
you're
like,
saying.
hey, Guillermo,
Yeah.
you're head
Yeah,
of
yeah.
head of my security.
That
I don't
makes
care who
sense.
they send you, bro. It's your responsibility to make sure that person and whoever that person brings is doing the right
So he
job.
supervises everybody
Yes.
under. Okay.
All of it. He should have supervised. He should have supervised He should have known what was the plan for
Right.
Secret Service, what was the plan for the state police, and what was the plan for the FBI. Everybody who's there,
Well, it's
what
good-
role
yeah,
do you
yeah.
play?
Yeah, he should know, but
He didn't.
Oh, I wanted to mention
a civilian cannot oversee Secret Service.
But let
That's
me
just
mention
not the
this.
case.
I
Secret Service
never
is in charge of that.
prophesied that Trump was going to be president. I'm not saying he's sent by God. So I want to make this crystal clear. It's just my opinion. That's it. All right, I want to get that because I'm not a Trump.
That's
I'm not
what
a
you think.
Trumpite.
That's what you're thinking. Not what you prophesy. You know?
No, and listen, we have all these prophets coming out now and saying, "Oh, I prophesied this. I said that." After the fact, bro. But what about all the other false prophecies? So what's going to happen if Trump doesn't become president? Have you thought of that?
Well, that happened when he didn't.
I know,
You
but
know?
it was because God spoke to them wrong. But what happened?
No, what
I know.
happened?
Let's be real. What
They all
happened?
closed their social media accounts. That's what happened. I remember that. They all closed their social media. I know
It's
people who
scary.
shut down their social media accounts.
It's scary, but bro, I mean,
Oh, man.
what if God just chose not to speak in the last 4 years. Think about it. And now you have this false prophet listening to this other false prophet. So I'm just sitting back and looking at all these media prophets now and YouTube prophets. And look, I said that. And Trump is going to be this and Trump is going to be that. And like, really?
Well, a lot of the people that actually make the mistake, they had to retract and they had to
it's
say...
not a mistake. It's a false prophecy.
They had to say...
They will be put to death in the Old Testament.
They had to say, hey, like, I said this, and then it didn't happen, and then I'm sorry, and blah, blah, blah. Some of them did, and some of them didn't, and they kept, like, giving excuses.
But forget about the excuses. Biblically speaking, it's a false prophecy that makes you a false prophet.
It is.
And now people are being, peace and love. Let's just let it slide. So what happens if he doesn't become president? God made another mistake.
And every day there's a new one.
Yeah. Every day.
Every day.
And it's scary.
Yeah.
Every
I
day
just
there's
wanted to
a new one.
mention that, but you were talking.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
No, it's fine because it's true. I've seen a lot of those, and growing up in the church that I did in that old school, I saw a lot of crazy stuff.
Yeah.
Right. So when I see these prophecies, I'm like, okay, I'll take it with a grain of salt.
Yeah.
I'm like, if it's true, it's gonna happen. If it doesn't,
Right.
And then I'm with you on that. You're a false prophet.
That's it.
It's time for you to
That's it.
shut your mouth because you can't speak on in God's behalf if you just basically lied.
Yep.
Okay. And when I think about prophecy, right? Talking about prophecy.
Yeah.
This is a discussion I have with my sister Arlene all the time. All eyes need to be on Israel. Okay.
Correct.
Because according to Scripture, where the U.S. doesn't show anywhere in Scripture. Okay.
Well, they call it like the whatever Babylon, whatever they say that
Mystery Babylon.
Yeah.
Yeah, but go ahead. You're going somewhere with that. I like it.
It's possible, right? Because I've thought of that too.
Yeah.
It could be because when you think about mystery, right? What they knew about the world was there where they were, right? When they say everybody knew where Babylon was, but when they say Mystery Babylon, it has to be outside of the scope. So I kind of have that same idea. But again, one of the things when I look at this, right, when it comes to prophecy and stuff, I'm like, what does this have to do? So we know, at least I knew because I grew up, was born and raised in this. Everything that we've learned since I was a kid, I'm starting to see it come to pass.
Yeah.
But too many people are focused on the U.S.
Yes.
But again, the U.S. does have a role,
Of course.
because we're the biggest defenders of Israel, and Scripture what it says about that, right? When you bless Israel, you are blessed, right? Because we were founded as a Christian nation, we're the biggest supporters. So for the prophecies, the biblical prophecies to take place, we have to be out of the picture, whatever that means. Whatever it is, we have to be out of the picture, because the U.S. will never allow Israel to be destroyed. However, we're starting to see a trend now where everybody is, pro-Palestine and, from the river to the sea, they don't even know what they're saying. They're saying they're talking about annihilation of the
Jewish people.
the Jewish people.
Right.
So now, like, I'm looking at this, right? When it comes to prophecy, I'm glad you brought that up because, we have to, as believers, we got to get into the Word, because if you don't, you're a flake, and anybody can just tell you anything, and you believe anything you're told.
Hosea 4:6. Yep.
Amen.
You know what? You know what the problem is? I love it. Love what you said there, Guillermo. The thing is that prophecy has become equal to, in these days, prophecy has become equal to sorcery, man. People are not trying to prophesy anymore. They're trying to fortune tell.
Come on.
There's no respect of discernment.
Yes.
Think about this, guys. I don't know if you've done it or not, but I'm going to throw it out there. How many of us have ever thrown a prophet a bone? They speak over you something is not of God. I remember, I'm going to give you an example of no names and nothing, but I remember going to minister at a church one time. I walked in, man, I was having the best day, like the best week. Okay. I was just loving life, man. Walked in there. I was excited and ready to preach. And I remember the pastor's wife begins to pray over me before my message. And she begins to prophesy. Oh, we know that you hardly made it here today, that it was heavy in your heart with everything that you're going through, and you almost didn't make it here today.
Wow.
But we thank God that you made it. And I was in my head, I was like, wow.
That's
It's
prophet-like.
too bad. It's too bad that I really love this person, that I can't just shut you down like this.
Wow.
But we'll just have coffee and laugh about it later.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And it was so untrue.
Yeah.
So untrue. And I was like, where did, like, how did it become, how did people's perspective is not discernment.
Right.
Okay.
Correct.
And you want to get up there and you want to just lie or just speak out of your emotions. And for what? So we got fortune tellers who the hairs rise on the back of their heads and they let their mouths open, not understanding that prophecy is just an amplification of God's voice.
That's it.
That's it. It's not coming from your brain. It's coming from your spirit.
Yeah.
It's coming from the Spirit of the Lord.
Yeah.
And when he prophesies, it's because it's a word that is going to come to life.
That's
not
it.
to action, to life.
Yeah.
It's going to happen. It's going to take place. But today we got so many showboats. Like I'm telling you, I've seen it. I hear some prophecies sometimes. Oh, you're going to have a big house. You're going to have a big car. But then Jesus was like, I'm going to Jerusalem to die.
Yeah.
There's my prophecy.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, come on, man.
Yeah.
Like, how is your prophecies attached to some kind of benefit program?
I wanted to mention two things that are key to end times prophecies that are going to be fulfilled. Why? Because it's in the Word of God. The first one you mentioned, and I thought you were going to kind of head towards there, is Israel. So I'm not sure if you guys know, I'm sure you do, peace treaty is going to be with Israel. And that is, I believe, when we're going to be raptured up. But remember, the man of sin, the Antichrist. So these are the two things. So I'm not saying Trump is the Antichrist, but there is someone that is going to be lifted up. And it says that even the elect may be deceived. So we're living in a time now where we're seeing these prophecies. These propheliers, we're seeing it. I got to call it for what it is.
These illusions, these outspoken illusions.
So, and I thank God that God allows me to speak, and I don't care what people think. I'm going to speak the word of God.
Amen.
A false prophecy is a false prophecy,
That's it.
so we got to call it out.
It's a lie.
So now what we're seeing is that, the man of sin is going to be lifted up, but we're seeing what's happening in Israel. And when they start talking about peace treaties, how is going to happen? We're going to have the Northeast, Southwest going to try to come against Israel, and they're going to put that peace treaty. That is the beginning of the 7-year tribulation from my study of the Word of God. So yes, you're right. Watching Israel, that is our prophetic time clock. We're watching it tick, tick. But they're more focused on lifting up the man, which can be the Antichrist, because he's going to fix the world and he's supposed to die and be risen from the dead. They're mocking, Jesus. Anyways, all of this is going to happen. The false prophet is coming, but we're more focused on the man than watching Jerusalem and watching that time clock. That's why I'm mad,
And that's where I was actually heading there. I got sidetracked, but
Okay.
I was heading exactly there. Because, growing up, I always, that scripture, that part of scripture where it says, even the elect, if at all possible.
Yep.
Right?
Yes.
So I always thought, I'm like, how is that possible?
That's the
Right?
apostle,
But what are
prophet,
we
pastor,
seeing
teacher,
now?
evangelist.
Yeah.
That's the
And what are we seeing now?
Yeah.
People blindly fight. Look, I'm going to vote for Trump because I want the economy we need to do something.
Right,
with this,
right.
I'm not one of these. I have friends people I know that are like, I'm like, don't look at the man that way. It's like you're
Correct.
worshiping a man. That's disgusting. To
It's scary.
it is. But again, going back to Israel, we see, we need to stop. Okay, it's important, right? We got to take care of business in this country. But when it comes to the church, the church's eyes need to be set on Israel.
Yes.
Because let me tell you, man, that clock is ticking, and we are close.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, when Trump worked out that peace deal, first thing I thought was that scripture.
Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah.
what's this, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, it didn't come to pass, right?
Right.
It wasn't that. But now we see how it's going to happen.
Right.
Clearly. I mean, I don't know about you, but to me, it's like crystal clear.
Right.
What we're living now, the division and the strife, and you know, people just blindly following political leaders.
Wow. But then you mentioned the Antichrist, and think about how the Antichrist is going to come into power. We're being taught now. We're being taught now to follow after the one that can do something for me, when the plan has always been to follow the one that has already done something for me.
That's it.
Right.
The Antichrist is going to come making promises when Jesus already gave you the ultimate promise.
That's it.
Right.
But we fall for, and we're at that point.
Yeah.
We're at that point that people don't even want to serve if they're not going to get something out of it.
Yeah.
And look
That's
at
a big thing.
Look at what you guys were talking about before, that people trust more in government. Hey, the government has to give me X, Y, and Z. And people don't live, even Christians, they don't live the kingdom.
Right.
Like, it's not about the kingdom. It's about, what can they do? What
for
can the
me?
government do for me?
Yeah.
When we're supposed to live in a kingdom with a king and with different rules that apply from heaven to earth and that bring heaven to earth.
Well, the word says
Instead of living on earth, pretending or trying to make it heaven.
But the word says it. Cursed is he who trusts in man and puts his confidence in princes.
Come on.
Right?
Come on.
The Bible also says what?
Yes.
Do not be entangled in the affairs of this world.
Wow.
You know
Good
what I mean?
stuff.
So our
stuff.
culture
Yes.
is a kingdom culture.
Yes.
But what is it to understand? That we shouldn't fear anything.
That's it.
Because God's word is going to come to pass.
Yeah.
And it's already written. And so why we're falling away as a nation because we're not following the foundation from which this nation was built.
That's it.
And so now,
That's it.
well, I think talking about our entire perspective that we have opened up with tonight, I think the problem is that Republicans and Democrats are not looking at what have we done wrong. They're looking at what have you done wrong.
Yeah.
And the truth is we've done it.
Right.
Okay, we've done it, right? So, it's the whole Adam and Eve thing. That woman you gave me, you know what I mean? But they were both covered, and from covered in shame. That's the problem right there. We used to have an America where the Democrats and the Republicans used to both acknowledge what have we done wrong. Let's pick this back up. Who's better at fixing what we have done? Now it's not even about that. He doesn't want to fix it. Or he doesn't want to fix it. He wants to make it worse. Like, we're making tyrants out of our leaders.
Yeah.
And it's horrible. And it's dividing our people.
Yes.
And we, as a church, forget it. That's a whole other ballgame. We shouldn't even be, we shouldn't even allow that to taint who we are. We are to live by faith.
That's it.
What part of politics has faith?
Right.
Welfare and public aid exist because the church is not doing their job.
I heard something really
Ouch.
cool. I heard something really cool, actually.
Stepped on a
It was a
toe there.
Christian guy saying, man, we need to pray for Biden because he's having issues and stuff. And really,
Yeah.
if you see, the perception is, oh, he's all messed up, get him out, and Trump get here. Where's the compassion? Where's the thing?
None.
Like, that's
Humanity.
the issue. The
None.
issue is that
Yes.
we're
On both sides.
We're seeing things.
Yeah.
We're seeing people like
I just want to win. I want to win. It's
well,
not about
we see it as a game, and then
Right.
we
Move
put
the
people
pawn. Yeah.
move people in and out and whatever, and
Yeah.
we're not God, dude. And
Right.
we're called to pray for our leaders, pray for our government. God is the one who puts the government in,
Right.
And we're really far from that, man.
Yes, we are.
Yeah.
Yes, we are.
It's heartbreaking to see the condition that he's in, and
yes.
Imagine the pressure.
But,
Imagine the
you know,
pressure.
I blame the church. Let me tell you, the churches have become just as divided, right? We all know
Yes.
that, denominations, whatever. But a lot of churches are just social clubs.
Yes. Yeah.
It's true,
Yeah.
man.
Sometimes I thought nothing would shock me anymore, but sometimes I see things that are like, what do you mean?
Right.
This is the place of restoration. This is the place of,
Correct.
what are we doing here?
Yes.
This is not, well, this guy, he did this, and
right.
Okay. How about let's talk about your sin?
Right. But he's not righteous enough, and
Yeah.
I get it.
No, some of them don't sin.
Yeah, of course.
Right.
Yeah. No, they've made it already.
Oh, no. Wait, let me rephrase that. They don't sin as bad as you. That's the issue here.
Exactly.
They don't fall into your category.
yeah.
Some of you are black belt sinners,
Yeah.
and the other ones are white belt,
I
blue belt.
agree.
And the big
Yeah.
problem, right? So I work in men's ministry, and I have been even before Maranatha for a long time.
Yeah.
I've trained many men's ministry leaders, and that's where my heart is. And when you're in a place and you see something happen, and you see this mess, I right away I'm thinking about the man.
Of
Oh my
course.
God.
Of course.
So what are you telling people? Yeah. What are you telling your church? If I confess my sin to this brother, I'm gonna get treated like this, like this or like that. So I'm gonna keep quiet.
Right.
What are we doing?
Right.
When we can't get the church right,
Yeah.
that's why we're in this mess.
Yeah.
The church fell asleep a long time ago.
Oh yeah.
You know, and because of these divisions, because of these things, we need as believers, we got to look at people as what we are. We're all sinners that fell short and need Christ.
Yeah.
You know what the problem is, Guillermo? The problem is that everybody was cool walking with Jesus while he was alive. But something changed when he said, hey, who's going to follow me now to Jerusalem?
Yeah.
So it's easier to be by your side during your living process. But then where are they during your dying process? Right. And I'm going to tell you something, brother. And everybody can conclude to this fact or this truth. Sometimes you get the greatest revelations through your mistakes. And sometimes if you surrender to God the way that you should, your mistakes will produce some much more life than your achievements and your celebrations have.
You know what's the biggest problem? What are the people going to think? Yes. Who cares about the people? What does Jesus think? Right. What does God? Is he a God?
Yeah, but that would but that would mean that Jesus is ahead of your church.
Oh man,
that's a whole different ball game, brother.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like you don't have shepherds that are sent by God anymore. You have church CEOs, and then you have a manager, and then you have a supervisor, and then you have team leaders, and then you have security. You know what I mean? Like it's run like a Walmart, and then the only difference is that some of them run like a Target. You know what I mean? Some of them run like a Walmart. The problem is that prophecy is being fulfilled. And so there is that great fall. But at the same time, isn't it amazing that God says that where sin is, grace abounds.
Even more.
And so you know what you see? That in this darkness, man, you are so grateful for the light that shines through it, man. And I'm okay with that. I say it like this. I say there's a world out there without Jesus, and I have compassion for them. And there's a church out there who lacks Jesus, and I have compassion for them as well.
I wanted to mention, because those that are listening, a lot of the viewers and listeners are not saved. So you said the falling away. The Bible says that the falling away must take place first before the coming of Jesus, the second coming. What does that mean? That means that their hearts are going to grow cold. That means that you're going to see pastors that are going to say, well, Jesus doesn't exist anymore. You're going to see churches rebelling and turning from the scriptures and saying, well, it's not the fallible word of God anymore, the infallible word of God anymore. There's mistakes. So we're going to see this as part of the end times. So it's not only the Antichrist, it's not only the elect that's going to be deceived, but the people themselves are going to be deceived.
There is an event that happens, which is the Great Deception.
Oh, yeah.
So with that Great Deception, there's a lot of things that are compiled in that Great Deception.
Yes.
And based on all the prophecies and all the things that have been happening, people that study that mention that the Great Deception is some kind of plot that the governments play in order to make people not believe in the truth. Whether it's an extraterrestrial,
But that's an opinion. It's not a fact.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's a theory.
Yeah.
So a lot of people have talked about it, and a lot of people have said, oh, but we've been indoctrinated by movies since we've been, for 50, 60 years.
Right.
That, an extraterrestrial, craft comes over and whatever. If that happens, what would people think? So, for example, the Pope have said, oh, if people from other planets come, I will baptize them.
Right.
That's kind of weird. That's kind of weird. That's kind of.
I wouldn't be surprised if a pope would be an antichrist. But go ahead.
Now check this out. Now check this out. Part of what's happening right now, there's a lot of UFOs viewings and stuff and whatever, and part of what the information that has leaked is being that a lot of those crafts are man-made.
Yeah.
So the whole deception.
The thing is that the rapture is going to take place, and that's where they're going to say the aliens took their bodies.
That's the point.
Right.
The point is that the great deception is some kind of event that lets people know or lets people think, oh, God doesn't really exist because of X, Y, and Z.
Right.
And
right.
if that happens, people's perception of that fact is gonna take pretty much a perception on, hey, we need a savior, and that's when the Antichrist comes over.
You know what it is?
Yeah.
Is if you read the book of Ezekiel and the visions, the way it describes the visions of God that he saw, then it looks just like Independence Day.
No.
And it's designed to make a Will Smith out of everybody.
Yeah.
Wow.
And that's called the Armageddon.
Wow. So I want to end with this, and I want to end it with this last conversation. Kamala Harris, is she able to stand with Trump right now? Remember, she's coming in like left field. Does she have what it take? I don't know. I'm asking. Does she have? Because she was 4 years in the background. It barely spoke. I think she only had one job. And stop me if I'm wrong. It was to just take care of the wall, right? The borders. Well, sorry, not wall.
Didn't do anything.
And right, she didn't do anything. So, can she stand with Trump? What's your opinion?
I think no. I think she's outmatched.
Okay.
However, the way the left is, they're gonna blindly vote for whoever has the.
What is the left? When you say the left,
the left is the Democrats.
so the Democrats are the left, and then the
they're
Republicans
considered-
are the right.
Yeah.
So
they're
we're
considered
always right, and they're. No, I'm just kidding. They're left field.
it's I don't know. That's the way it was set up.
Well, the Bible says thousands will fall to my right.
10,000 to the other.
If you want to go that route.
So you
I
think she's weak? She's weak for him as an opponent.
Can you imagine her in a debate with him? She could barely. She's barely coherent. So have you ever heard her speak?
No.
Oh man,
Half the time
come
I'm
on.
like, what are you
Tito.
saying?
No.
Are you kidding me?
So
I mean, she's better than
Trump.
well, no. Trump can talk for hours, but he makes sense.
Did you hear
She
that?
says some stuff that's like, what are you talking
Did
about?
you hear the Republican convention? Everybody was a better speaker than Trump. He just rambled on
man.
and on and on.
He does
It was
long
like sitting there with my
speeches.
in-laws, dude.
Bro,
I was
an
like,
hour and a
wow.
half, right? Yeah. It's like when you go to his rallies, it's the same thing. I went to the one over here, the one they did in.
Don't play that.
When he came to Sunrise some years ago. I went to that one with my wife.
Yeah.
Just to see how just see.
Did you ever learn any Trump songs or no?
No,
I was
but
just
let me tell
kidding.
you,
I didn't know there was a Trump song.
Yeah. But we did have a great time. It was fun. It was the atmosphere was fun, and we had a great time. He can talk forever.
Yeah.
That's his thing. He's an actor, right? He's an entertainer.
Yeah.
But the fact is, I mean, if you look at some of the stuff that's come out of her mouth, it's like, what are you saying? I mean, I don't know if she just had an off day or something, but
Right.
it was incoherent. There's a lot of stuff out there that.
Yeah.
So I don't think that she can go head to head with him.
Okay.
In a debate, I don't think she'll do well.
Pastor Labs, what do you think?
Look, again, social media is playing a big role.
Absolutely
definitely.
A
agree.
big role.
100%.
They have always pointed at Kamala Harris like she's the major person who messed up this border thing, like she was in charge.
Right.
Do your research. Everyone listening, do your research. Was Kamala Harris the person, the czar of the border situation? Absolutely not. She was in charge of Honduras, Guatemala, and El Salvador. And not just at border crossing. She was in charge of how their economic system was playing out, how their poverty was, their drugs in interaction and things like that. Is the whole border situation a mess? Absolutely. Yeah. But don't point at her and say, don't point at her and say that that was her job. She had one job to do and she ruined it, because but we already discussed earlier on how on the failures that Trump left at the border as well. Again, the wall that wasn't built, the wall that we paid for.
Did we have the crossings that we have now?
The implemented policies that were in place to help with them wanting to stay in their own countries was enforcing that and endorsing that. The implemented program that we had here in America.
I want to know if Kamala Harris. I want to know what's your opinion. Can she go against
Kamala
the former
Harris,
president?
I'm gonna tell you again this.
Yeah.
Right now.
Yeah.
There's polls.
Are you speaking in tongues or stuttering? I'm wondering which one it is.
No, I'm stuttering like Joe Biden. There's polls.
Okay.
And the polls one day say this and one day say that.
What is the polls? What is that?
The popular opinion.
Popular opinion. Got it.
Yeah, the most popular opinion, and they rate it, and everybody has an in on it.
Yeah.
Sometimes it matters, sometimes it doesn't. But right now she's going up to where they're looking equal. Can she stand? I'm gonna give you the honest answer to that. That depends on you and I. Okay, she's gonna stand against. She's gonna be the Democratic nominee. Trump is going to be the Republican nominee. It's up to America to get out there and vote for who they believe is the best fit for their home. Everybody. And that's where you decide who stands. When you stand there in November and you look at that TV and you see one state go red and one state go blue and one state go red and one state go blue, and they project a winner, I don't want to hear any excuses from either side. From either side.
I agree.
If the Democrats win, I don't want to hear this was fixed. Right. If the Republicans win, I don't want to hear this was fixed.
I agree.
Just take it for what it was and go for it, man.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah, just vote,
She's about to stand. She's leaving. She's bringing her family into this. Yeah. She's looking at her husband right now and she's saying, listen, sweetheart, there's going to be some nights that I'm not going to be able to cook.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I'm going to stand up for my country.
Right.
She's looking at her kids and she's going to say, there's probably we're going to come short of some walks in the park. Okay. Because I'm going to stand up for my country. So will she stand? Well, she's putting her life on the line. She's doing a whole lot better than me.
Right.
And she decided to say yes to this, to stand up to a man that has a lot of power, which is Trump, and has a lot of vindictive followers.
Yeah.
Which you get threats, it's scary, you know? And so she decided to go ahead and do it. So more power to her. And if she doesn't win, she's a winner in my book because she stood up to the challenge. I believe everybody that says, yes, I will make myself available is a winner. Yeah. I just hope that somehow, man, they could just come together at the end of all this.
Yes.
I hope that Trump, if he wins, he could decide this is it. I don't have anything else for this. I'm like, you know what, Trump? I'm like you to listen to this man.
Right.
I'm excited that after 4 years, no matter what happens, I never have to listen to this man again. You know what I mean?
Right.
So the whole point of it is, because this is the first time that I have a president that when my daughter was little, I have to turn off the TV when she comes into the room.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So my point is that I just hope that out of all of this, okay, now we get, first thing we had was, the old guy, Sleepy Joe. And then we got, Trump, the crook, or this and that. You know what, man? Put that behind you. Yeah. Let's take this new generation to a place where we can all come together and say, what are we going to do as a nation to fix this? We both got to live here. You got your rich side of town. We got our poor side of town. You know what I mean? And what they're causing is division, and what they're looking for, social media and the Democrats and the Republicans, they're never going to stop until they see a civil war, man.
That's it.
That's what they're pushing for.
Just
and with
crazy.
all their little jokes and with all their little accusations and with all their positioning their little pawns in place, because look, when the Republicans win, they make a pawn out of the judicial system, the legislative system. They make a pawn out of everything. When the Democrats win, they make a pawn out of their systems as well. And they go back and forth, the chess game. And who's losing? Us.
We are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know?
So, Alvaro, you've never voted before, right?
Nope.
So you just got to listen to this podcast. You think you're ready to vote, or you're still not clear on which party, or you're not convinced of?
I think I'm more interested in getting knowledge about politics now,
Okay.
because we are just too comfortable into letting everybody else decide what goes on, and then we write the vote. But if the vote actually counts, then you have to get yourself informed to make the best possible decision. That's it.
But are you going to vote?
I'm willing to.
Okay.
I'm willing to.
Look at that.
I'm
You
willing
guys
to.
got one
Yeah.
guy
It's important.
convinced to vote.
It's important
That's
to
big.
I'm willing to. You know, like I've never really believed in voting because of what I said before. You know, I knew that people will put money in both sides, securing their place.
Right.
So for me, the whole concept of democracy was like, kidding me, bro? Like, that's so rigged. So I've lived in that place for a long time, but I think it's right now it's crucial to vote to make things change.
Yeah.
And whether the vote works or not is the only exercise that we can do in order to do something about it.
Well,
Let
good
me
stuff.
ask you: are you more comfortable with Spanish? For information wise, to get information?
Anyway, you know,
The reason I ask, right, is I'm a regular contributor to a radio show. It's a Spanish show, so my Spanish is terrible. So the host usually translates for me when I get on, because when I can if I could take my time, I do well. I can speak. I can write it, everything, but expressing myself is easier for me in English. But there's a show. It's called the Juan Eliel Garcia Show. It's on YouTube, and it's carried through many radio stations in the country, South America, a bunch of places. It's purely political. It talks about the different things, about the different policies and different things that we should be caring about.
I would like to
It'd be
get
interesting to
informed.
see,
Yeah, I would like to get informed.
I believe it's Univision or the other Spanish.
Telemundo.
Telemundo. They bring him on from time to time when they need a.
And he's
commentator.
Republican.
He's Republican. Yeah.
Okay, so he'll be hearing one-sided kind of.
No, well, sometimes, but
Okay.
but there's a good mix.
Okay.
Because a lot of the people it's a mix of both.
Okay. Okay.
But he is a conservative. He brings it from a conservative perspective.
Got it.
But he does bring in people, and they have discussions, and
Okay.
so it's not like
I used to look at Bill Maher.
It's informative.
I used to look at Bill Maher's show, but at one point it was just like weird. You know, it was very like his way of thinking, and then he would put whatever his way of thinking was. So I stopped watching it.
He started to change though.
Yeah,
I noticed.
Yeah.
He's a little bit more like.
It's been good because he's been more neutral about it, and by being neutral, he has standing his position a lot stronger. Which is, hey, sometimes my party sucks, and I'm gonna speak about it, and that takes balls. You know what I'm saying?
It does.
And then in that position, I've seen that when he brings people from the other side, they're able to actually say what they think, and whether they agree or not, it's just cool to have these kind of conversations.
Yeah.
Because you grow and then you learn.
Yeah.
You want that truth over the trauma.
Yeah.
And I'll be real honest with you. You'll hear me talk about the back and forth. And you know, I liked Bush. You know what I mean? Like, so I'm not a Republican and I'm not a Democrat, and none of my conversation could sway you into knowing where I'm voting. You cannot know. You will never know where I'm voting, because I don't wear it. If I express the views, I express both sides on the terms and the reality of how uninformed our people are.
Right.
That's my argument. That's my my protest is not, hey, choose Trump. It's not go against abortion. It's not go for abortion. It's, hey, listen, get informed, man. You've got a couple of months left. Do your research and then run to the polls. Don't let a person next to you shut you out of your truth.
Yeah.
I think with what you say is we should take the position of being a business person, which is, hey, whatever's most convenient for the business is what I'm going to decide, instead of having a popularity kind of contest.
Yeah.
It comes down to what's best for you.
Yeah, what's best for you.
That's what it comes down to.
Yeah.
Right.
But don't be swayed and don't be bullied.
Right.
You know, because some people get bullied. I've seen people, you lose friends in this time and day. Right?
Let me tell you, I do a lot of debating online. We have different groups, and when the 2016, I think it was, when he was running, it wasn't even a political group. It was somebody jumped on, because people get on and it's open to people, and they brought it up, right? And then what happens is, when I debate, and I usually prepare, and I'm pretty good at what I do. I've done this for a long time. And so,
That's called pride, by the way, but go ahead.
yeah, I know, right? It is. It's true. Sometimes, I mean.
No, I'm just kidding, man. Go ahead.
Hey, sometimes you got to say the truth, you know?
So
If the boy is good, he's good, you know?
So, you know what happened is, this person apparently knew somebody that I knew from from Schaumburg, Illinois.
It's about 40 minutes away.
Yeah, we had an office there, so I have friends there, coworkers. So he must have been somebody who was friends with them that was able to see my stuff. So what happens? I started getting death threats. Right? That stuff doesn't scare me.
Right.
I really don't. I've learned that, you know what? When I fear God. That's it.
That's it. Yeah.
And so what happens is, I've learned how to track people, right? So this person does this threat. So I said, okay, took me 15 minutes. I knew where he worked, where he lived. And it was one of those things. We'll talk one day, because I was pretty good at that too.
Why can't we talk about it here?
But anyway,
Go ahead.
what I ended up doing was I put a post up, public post. Everybody started freaking, are you okay? And I was just, because I knew he was going to watch, right? 2 hours later, he closes everything. He deleted everything.
Wow.
And then I deleted my thing, right? But, and I say that to say that because of politics, unfortunately, I never thought in my life I had to carry a weapon. Never even thought of that would ever be a thing, right?
Right.
Unfortunately, because of politics, the threats I've gotten, I got somebody who, amateurs, right? They go to they go to one of the real estate websites, and because I post a lot of pictures of me and my dogs,
Yeah.
and it has them in front of the house. It shows the address and the picture of the house, right? So I guess they did an image search, and it comes up, and he goes, look, I know where you live. So he sends up a picture of the house before I bought it, because it was a different color.
Okay.
But it was the right house. But I'm
Yeah.
like, amateur, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
So he goes, I know where you live. I'm like, okay, well, come get me.
Yeah.
So one of two things is gonna happen. My sons are gonna get you. My dogs are gonna get you, or I'm gonna get you.
Yeah.
I'm not scared. What I tell people, don't be scared. Most people, they threat. They hardly ever.
But
do
it's
anything.
crazy that it got to that point,
It's
because
sad.
this was
Yeah.
supposedly the country where you could actually
Yeah.
express yourself, and
I
now if you
know.
express yourself, you get death threats.
Yeah,
So
but
it's
is
just
it
crazy?
But all right,
It's
but
crazy,
is it
man.
just me? Has it always been that way?
It was.
Come on, has it always been this drastic?
No.
It was.
All right,
It was
so
just
there's
never
something
like
loud
this.
happening right now.
Yeah,
and when I think
yeah.
about who's being loud, dude, that separation and that anger and that bullying.
Only one side. Come on.
No, there's another side that's killing you with softness, right?
Well, the media, the Democrats are with the media,
with the media, but let me tell you, but honestly,
I know they're hitting back.
I'm a person who likes to find out what policies are.
Yeah.
And until recently, I had no idea what Trump's policies were. All I knew was he was pissed at people. And I'm gonna get you back,
right?
And I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna cancel the FBI, and I'm gonna throw all of you in prison, lock them up, you know. And it was like, while Sleepy Joe was talking about policy, your dude was talking about punching people out and locking people up. And I was like, that's cool, dude, but that's fine. You're upset. I get it. I've been upset too. But what are you gonna do for me? I want to know before I go vote.
Yeah,
like, talk to me, bro. Yeah. How is this going to affect my house, dude? Because I'm looking at you, dude. I'm not listening to my Democrat friends or my Republican friends. Trump, please speak to me. How are you going to hook me up, bro?
Right.
You know what I mean? Because right now, you just mad. You just sound like an angry guy with a red face and orange hair, bro. And at this point, I'm tired of hearing it.
But you think it comes from both sides, though.
I get it, but
who was the lady who said, if you run into them in a restaurant, get in their face? And
the lady. Was she the president?
Maxine Waters.
But was she the president?
Congresswoman.
Your voice is a lot louder when you're the president,
Trump,
dude.
Before Trump got shot, what did Biden say in his speech? Let's put the target on Trump and all this rhetoric.
Dude,
bro, it comes from both sides. That's what I'm saying.
But Trump,
because you don't look at the other side.
We could go back and forth forever
Trump
on how
started.
we're both wrong.
I know Trump started,
but Trump, bro, Trump is. There's no doubt in my mind that Trump is a loudmouth, bro, and a procrastinator, dog. What do you call that?
Instigator.
An instigator, man. He fires you up.
Yeah,
dude. You look at him, bro. You need Secret Service because of people like Trump.
And
you know
what we're
mean?
seeing
to the point where a Republican shot at him.
What we're seeing, a Republican shot at him.
A Republican that donated to Democrats. Yeah, I don't think so.
But
he said $10, bro.
This is what we're seeing, man.
That's like saying if you give a $10 offering, you're a Christian.
Would never give money to them.
Come on, man. He gave $10 to something that he had no clue was about.
What's unique about Trump?
Yeah, right.
He spent more money on that shotgun.
He's lifting up these Trumpites, and it's scary. You have one individual.
It's horrible.
That's creating this massive amounts of
that's what social media is.
But the
like,
problem,
he's pushing that agenda.
I work in video production and video marketing.
Yeah,
and Trump is a media person. So he knows exactly what to do in order to create attention.
Yeah.
And today attention is the money system of the world. Why? Because who gets the attention gets the power.
You hit it right.
He knows
you
how
hit
to
the
do
nail right on the head.
Yeah.
What we have today in our government is a reality show.
Yep.
That's what we got. We got a reality show.
I'm hoping after the shot, man, that he'll change.
It didn't happen.
I know.
He's still back to his same self. I thought it was going to be like that prophet spoke of 4 months ago.
Right.
You know, then he fell and he came back up and he gave his life to Jesus.
Half a prophet.
Yeah, it was a half. It was a point. It was a 0.5. It's still in. No. What did the Christians say? He's still in the process.
He's still in the process. Wow.
He's a work in progress.
Yeah.
That's the way it is. No, bro. Like, listen. Again, I don't need him to. I don't need Trump to do anything spiritual for me, man.
Right.
I need Trump to love. If you become the next president, I need you to love, fight for, and support everybody that's within your border.
Yeah.
Because we're all human beings.
That's it.
Because the gay person can give their life to Jesus.
Correct.
All right. The person that commits an abortion can also give their life to Jesus.
Yeah.
The person that is totally blue Democrat can give their life to Jesus, and they need help. They need groceries. They need gas. They need education. They need medical care. They need social security. They need protection. They need leadership. They need everybody. I don't care if you came here 10 years ago from a different country and you've had some bad. I don't care if you're a criminal. You still need somebody to fight for your rights as to what we can do and what we can't do in the jail system. I mean, I don't care. Yeah. You know, you just can't call people out because they don't look like you or sound like you. You know, not everybody's an Ivanka and a Baron, you know, so you got to fight for everybody, man. And that's the Jesus way. Otherwise, don't use the Bible and don't call it God, because it's definitely not.
There you go. I like that. So how many years do I need a pastor like you to get a Spidey watch like that, man?
Oh man,
I like that Spidey watch,
you
bro.
like that Spidey watch? You know, if it wasn't a gift from my wife, I would have took it off right now. and gave it to you.
Really?
Promise.
Oh man,
That's the way I roll.
the Spidey
You
watch.
should have asked for the shoes, bro. Because the wife didn't give him the
Hey,
shoes.
but they're not your size. They're not your size, dude.
Let me see what size these
They're
are.
not your size. And see, now that you know it, you're doing it for benefit gain.
Yeah, you
See what I'm
see,
saying?
you see.
I already know who you're going to vote for. let me add something really quick.
Yeah,
I want to
yeah.
throw this out there and get a perspective. So, when JFK was president and Russia came over here with his big old boats, right?
Missile crisis.
Yes, the missile crisis, submarines and stuff like that with nuclear capabilities. The nation got together. They got together. Congress and the White House
Oh wow.
decided. Kennedy said, "We have a problem here." Picks up the phone, he calls Congress, and Congress is like, "Here's the check."
Wow.
You know.
Wow.
So Kennedy says, "I need money. These people, I need money that will show these people that we have what it takes." And they write the check. You know.
Yeah.
And we had something similar happen where they bring them ships, same place, same area, new president, and new government today, and it was about fault and wimp and who's gonna. I would have loved to see Congress run to the White House with a check and be like, "All right, this is different."
Right.
You know, you're what's that term? The enemy of my enemy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, come on, man. You got it. We should have. I would have loved to see Congress run over to the White House with a check and be like, "Yo, let's put our differences to the side.
Yeah.
What's going on over here in Cuba?" But instead, that would have never happened under my administration.
Right.
Like, no, bro.
Right,
Come-
right,
you don't
right.
enforce it. You with the power that you have, you call those brothers and say, "Hey, listen, I know we don't like them dudes.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
not this can't stand. And if you want, tell them I said so.
Yeah.
Give me some juice or whatever." But man,
but remember, the commander in chief is the one he's got to take the initiative. He's the one that commands the armed forces.
but we need money.
You know what I mean?
We need to be able to have a budget.
I agree, but he's the one.
We can't go to war without a budget.
Yeah, but he has to come from him. He's the.
The Bible says, "Don't start to build without making sure you have all the resources you need to finish."
Absolutely, but the way we're structured here is he's the commander in chief.
I hear he is. That's what I'm saying.
But I do agree with you, though. I do agree. You know, you speak up.
That's it.
That should never have been allowed. Look at the spy balloon.
All of them should have
halfway
came
through
together.
the country, the spy balloon from China, and we just let it go. Like
Yeah. That was insane.
that's insane.
Insane.
It's just
Man, there's some things. There's a lot going on, man.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
like you know what? When I went to get my license for my agency, they do a background check that's so extensive that if you have a misdemeanor, all right, if you have a misdemeanor that's 20 years ago,
Yeah.
a misdemeanor, they will reject you from getting a license. God forbid I had 34 felonies. I'm gonna
Right.
leave it there.
Right.
Yeah, I get a TSA background every 5 years, extensive.
Awesome.
Even though I have a concealed carry, they go deeper than that. You know.
God forbid you
Because
had
of where I
34
work.
felonies.
Well, thank God I never.
You're not
been in
getting a
that
job.
Yeah, no.
But you can run for president.
yeah, you can. Yeah.
Man, it was
You can't work at Publix, but you can run for president.
This was awesome, guys, man. I know Alvaro's probably starving right now. He didn't eat after work. And we're going to bring you guys back after the election, and we'll talk, and we'll see what's going to happen between now and then.
We're gonna see whose prophecy was right.
Yeah, we definitely know that,
perspective was wrong.
that Biden wasn't going to be president. We know that for sure.
Well, I'm gonna prophesy right now that somebody's gonna win. Yeah, one of the two, somebody's gonna win.
Are you saying that in Biden's name or in Trump's name?
I'm saying that somebody's gonna win. That's my prophecy. That's it.
Hey, I got educated. I got informed. It's a good thing, man. It's awesome. Thank you guys.
Conversation the other day.
2 hours and 30 minutes.
I had a conversation the other day with a pastor friend of mine, and he was talking about gas and